Welcome to Squatch and Holler Podcast. From the back roads, down the ridge where the moon hangs low and the shadows get big, creek water cold and the timber stands tall, something's moving way back in the holler, y'all. Boots on the ground, eyes in the trees, listening close when the night wind breeze, tracks in the mud, knocks in the dark, following clues till we find that mark.
Real encounters, stories untold, old mountain secrets and a fire burning gold. Guest with a tale, researchers too. If the woods have a secret, we're coming for the truth.
From the creek bed trail to the midnight sky, we keep looking when the questions get high. No matter whether strange things roam, Squatch and Holler feels like home.
Boots on the ground,
all real encounters,
live from the holler.
Welcome to Squatch and Holler Podcast.
That was awesome. I love it.
Thank you. I worked on that for a while and to get this started, and I've got a long ways to go to match your intros. Yours are
It
rocking.
just has to go on for a long time, you know. That's
Well-
when you're a one-man show. That's what happens. Oh, yeah, because I got to drop that link. I got to wait for it to go live.
Mhm.
Then Instagram, got to go get Insta. So it's like I do all these. I'm running. You should see me back there.
Scrambling. I know,
Yeah,
but
I need that
but
focus.
but everybody that I've been around now for maybe a few 2 or 3 months watching when I can, and I was surprised when I first saw it. But I know from doing this that you like to have an intro where people have time to come in where they won't miss the first of the discussion, and it's sent YouTube sends out alerts and you're sending out things, and so I understood what was going on, and then I'm like, this is really cool.
I figure if I'm going to make them sit there through it, yeah, might as well be entertaining. It's like some of the stuff though.
Because you get so many comments from your regulars, I like it. So, but anyway, y'all welcome in. Thanks for joining the new show, and thank you, Coley, for coming on kind of last minute. I told Heather, I'm like, I don't have anything to do tonight, and I would like to talk a little bit because this, Coley, I don't know when you started, but it kind of gets in your blood a little bit. Just I talked to a friend for 4 hours yesterday. The conversation was so deep and way out there that I didn't have a headache, but I was like, man, I got to stop. We got to stop right here. I will, I'll think all this over. And everybody, hey, thanks for coming in here. I see, we have some great people. They watch your show, and any of you that don't, Coley, can you tell everybody about your show and what you do?
Yes, of course. I have SNX Radio, and like I go into the whole spiel, but basically I cover everything into the unknown, non-human intelligence, NHI, UFOs, ET, anything strange. I'm covering it, but I love all sorts of conversations. Like I opened up on Friday, so I want it for our, like the regulars. I said, I don't care if you come on and just get to know people and connect people.
Mhm.
That's very important. So yeah, I've been doing. I think we're about 4 to 5 nights or days. I guess it depends. But yeah, it really gets in your blood. You're right about that. And we miss a show, or I missed a couple. I'm like, oh man, you just feel that, like I don't know, it does. That's a good way of putting it.
It I started this. I finally decided after decades to tell my story, and I was scared to death. It was, but it felt great. It felt good while it was happening, and then after it was over with, I just took a deep breath, and then then people started saying, "Okay, Roger Williams had a Bigfoot encounter at 14 and all that," but I started going on other shows after I got comfortable enough to talk about some of the stranger things that happened when I was a kid, some other things. And the more I've got into this subject, and meeting people, there is so much weirdness out there that I, I started digging into it, and I started saying, well, is it paranormal or normal? Because it seems normal, just people don't talk about it. And there
Absolutely.
are certain words used that scare people off, and hey, this stuff has been going on since the beginning of time, and that's why I wanted to talk to you, because you know a lot more about this than I do. And y'all, when I tell Coley something, she'll like she'll nail it. She'll like, oh, do you have this around you? Do you have that around you? I'm like, well, actually, we do. So, but
I immersed myself in this. Like
Mhm.
when I say like from the moment that I encountered the UFO, it changed my life.
Yeah,
I was like literally like obsessed in the beginning. I had this sense of urgency, so I can always tell like really where people are in the whole timeline because they're calling, they're like, I got something I got to tell you, because that's how it was in the beginning. But it is not a comfortable place to be the crazy UFO lady in the community. I was a mental health therapist. I started writing down on clinical notes on what this. I thought there's got to be a diagnosis for this somewhere. It's like
yeah.
so crazy. What do you do with it? But yeah, this has been my savior, like an outlet. I started, since 2017, like I said, but I always grew up like not normal. I mean, I saw spirits, it's like this
Mhm.
part that was normal enough. But now you just add another whole level of weirdness, and he can't even explain it to anybody. But I started to make some connections along the way, and so I started to put together, because I noticed there's so many similarities across the board in all of us. So I started
Mhm.
putting out these inventories, looking to see what the government was looking for, and that's when I really hit the nail on the head.
It and so something you just said, we have a friend, from, from Canada. Something happened to him within the past year or 2, and he started searching these shows like yours and mine, trying to find answers because he went to therapists. He went to doctors trying to get help, they didn't help him. He has said on a show that people, shows like yours and shows like ours helped him more than the professional help that he was seeking. And that makes total sense because just take for instance my doctor. um I started wanting to do more natural things instead of the medicine you're prescribed, and found a doctor. He's both. And he couldn't talk about it for a long time because my mom went to him, but once he got certified, then he could talk about it. So, I know they have certain rules. If you go to someone and they're I don't know if they're told not to discuss this or that, but um it seems like from some of the stories we've heard that that might be the case, or they might not want. I mean, you talking about somebody that's a professional not wanting to make notes, like, I believe this person,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was there though one time. I when I first started, if somebody came in and saw the spirit, okay, that's one. But ET, I'd have been like, what are we going to do with this? But we wrote our clinical notes to protect our clients. So I had a lot of kids, and if it went to court for divorce, or if the child, was going through, a lot of times, these are kids with reactive attachment disorder, severe abuse, neglect, trauma. So we wrote them. This is handwritten notes. When I first started, we wrote them sloppy on purpose. But
Mhm.
it was, but you feel that way, I thought, man, then I had to come out as that therapist saying this happened. And I mean, if it wasn't bad enough, then after all the other stuff, they were like, you know, but I'm not one to stay quiet. I buck that system. I buck, things like that. So, which is understandable, but I think that's the way you should teach your generation, the next generation, what we got to do here. So I walk the talk big time.
Well, Coley, the truth's the truth. I mean, I finally realized, you know, if my story, if people laugh at it, if I was on the other side of that, I might giggle a little bit too, but I'm not. I've seen things that other people may think are monsters in movies or just don't exist at all, and I'm okay with that. Could because I I'll have to answer to lies later if I tell them, right? So I'm
Mhm.
comfortable with what I'm doing, and I think people pick up on that sometimes because, you've been doing this a longer time than I have, and once you start getting phone calls and messages and emails and things from people that are local saying, I know you saw it because I saw it here, or me and my dad saw it, or me and my mom, and then you're like, this is unbelievable. I mean, it's not unbelievable that it's happening. It's unbelievable that they are comfortable enough to share it with you. And it makes me feel better. It absolutely does when somebody says, hey, you said y'all had this happen. Well, we were on this road and we lived over there, and this farmer said he saw something, and then we happened to see it, but we never told anybody. That's when you feel like you're doing the right thing. Uh, I think that's when I realized, hey, I'm not just doing this for me. I'm doing it for everybody that's here watching or listening.
Like your
And
calling. Do you think it was your calling, Roger? I definitely see, like, when you come, you're a powerhouse. I love watching your show. I think that your music and your graphics are way better than mine, but that's
no,
my opinion. But seriously, no, really, I could compliment you all day long. You really lead the way on a lot of this, and people really look up to you because you are one of those. You don't sit there and it's not an appeasing. This is an appeasing topic.
right.
You're not, it's not everybody's going to be happy with this. We're all at different stages. I remind people, a lot of this is so subjective from your point of view and your
Mhm.
perspective that we might be talking about the same thing, but we might have 100 different names for it. Because I've
That
seen the cryptids, I've seen
absolutely.
it's like it's hard. Those lines blur. Those lines definitely blur.
And I started noticing that. So when I started, I came because I didn't know what I was doing, but we had a business, a country store and a store on the interstate, 28 years for one and about 4 for the other one. And I came in contact with people from all over the world, all over the country. Uh, and I realized, you know, you can do or say things to run people off. And I didn't want to run them off because they wouldn't be watching. I wouldn't get a number. It was because, if you hear something you don't agree with and you leave, you might miss the best conversation you ever would have heard or been involved in. So I started out, well, I'm going to do this like I do life. I'm going to be in the middle, and I'm going to listen to everybody, and I'm going to take it all in, and then I'll maybe piece it together as I go, and that's what's happened. And I feel like the group here that listens to us and watches, I think they know that, and I have a hard time taking compliments because Coley, I swear to you, I barely get this thing turned on. And, you know,
I don't know. You didn't see it. Somebody behind stage referred to my process as close to an episode of I Love Lucy. So I don't like it is like chaos.
and
I think you did great.
the reason I like Coley's show, because y'all know we take subjects very seriously, but we don't take ourselves seriously. And if you can't have fun with this, I mean, it's either sometimes laugh or cry sometimes. So, you know,
Yeah. No.
somebody that came over from your show here, I think it's Trooper Cat, had something really funny, and I have a hard time looking at chat because I'll be on the floor laughing. So y'all keep
I
having
know. It's so funny.
y'all keep having fun. I love it, but if I don't
It
if I
comes
don't
from a
post
fun
it,
place, though. Don't you think that this comes from?
yeah,
And I learned that to reset, like you're supposed to come from that, like going back that time you could play, have fun, recreate those moments. And it's so smart. It's a smart thing to do, and it changes and you can have fun, but it's like those serious topics. I can go there. But this is how I can find a joke in the places you should not ever even think about joking. I will find a joke about it. Yeah.
guilty. So let me guess. In school, you got more trouble for laughing than you did anything else.
I got stuck in the coat closet in kindergarten for talking too much. And I'm like, yeah. I come by it honestly, though. I come by this honestly.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's I did. I got in trouble so much for actually just laughing. I would find things funny, or I'd make a joke at the wrong time, and my principal loved me to death. And I'd walk in, and he'd say, "Laughing again?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Get back to class."
Since
And-
laughing is a bad thing, but in Catholic school it was too. Yeah, I get that. Oh, man.
yeah,
Brutal.
it was tough being wired like that though, because the more they try to control you, the
The
funnier it
worse it
got.
gets.
Yeah.
I know, I know. Oh gosh, that's so weird. I said in those really, really like horribly awkward moments, those are the times I shine. Like it just comes out. It's just natural. And I said, I'll tell myself, let's not go there, and then it's just coming out. I mean, it's just like no,
Well,
no filter whatsoever.
I totally understand, but, well, in some stressful situations, I fall back on that, and then but you think about it too, you get it honestly because, a funeral is one of the most terrible things you can go to, but my family and people I knew and grew up with, we would go eat in the back, and we would tell the funny stuff about the person, the things that happened, jokes they told, and we would be in there, and you have people like sobbing, and we're crying, laughing, but it was a release, and that's just what I was trained to do accidentally.
My family did not take it seriously either. I remember some of the jokes and I was like, but this is how we deal with stuff, okay? This is just my family, how we are. I almost dumped. It's funny because I'm with my cousin right now and I almost knocked over. We didn't know if it was my uncle's ashes, my cousin's ashes, or whoever. There's a third one. I thought I knocked it over. This has just happened. I was like, oh, thank God. But it was we were laughing about it. And I thought, man, if anybody else saw this, because I thought that for sure I had spilled them, and I was like, "Oh
Get
no,
them mixed
what are you
together,
doing,
like, I
man?"
don't know
Yeah.
I don't know, yeah, then I put it
Who's
back in this one,
who?
and
Yeah. Oh God. Why are they in this drawer? Is a better question. Like, where are
so, I
they?
and going back, I had it was tough, time when, I'm 55 and I grew up in some tough times, but I didn't know they were tough necessarily because the people around me didn't, talk about it. They knew how to have good, clean fun, and, but the thing is, when you come to these subjects that we're talking about, I know I was there when things happened, and nobody would talk about it. Like, me and my mom and dad saw something one time, and they mentioned it there. He took off. They had like a 74 Pinto. No, it was a 75 or 6. It wasn't the one that would blow up if you had an accident. It was a big
Throw you in the front seat, and you roll right on out there, no seatbelt
yeah.
on. Let's go. Yeah.
Well, they talked about it and got out of there, and then we were going to my uncle's, and I was expecting them to tell them what happened, and it was a UFO, and it was close, and it was daytime sighting. It was big, but, I went for years thinking that might have been a dream. My dad was sick, he didn't have long to live, and he said, "You remember that time?" And he repeated the story, and I thought that was a dream. He said, "No, no, you were in the back seat, you were
Wow.
looking at it," and he described it, and I'm like, "Well," but because nobody talked about it, and, um, I don't know if every region of the country is like that, but it's sad really that people have to hold things in. I've done it. I mean, I wasn't, it all goes with what kind of encounter or sighting you have. If it's real close up, or heaven forbid you get abducted or whatever, I can understand that being very traumatic. Or if something I got touched by a ghost one time, and I don't ever to have a second time. So, and it wasn't something
Oh
where I
yeah,
caught
it
it,
kind of
you know
jolts you, huh?
yeah, so, um, it and you and it's kind of funny, not I mean, that's not the right word, but the people that come and watch the shows you put on, I don't know whether they get some kind of comfort, or they like, the laid back parts of it, or just I think it may be the people that they're interacting in chat. We laugh at them, or they'll some of the best questions comes from chat. I mean, absolutely. They're smart. Everybody here's smart. They're spot on. And, we're doing many things usually during a show. I know you are. and you may have you may want to ask a question, but the way my mind works, I might have 100 and can only get 10 in, so
Oh,
and you
yeah.
forget about it. What has been your favorite part? We'll get into some of the stuff that has happened to you, but since we're talking about the podcast and shows, what do you think your favorite part of it is?
The people. I
Yeah.
love the people. I love the chat. I feel like I I'm good at, like, groups and connecting and doing that. I feel like it's an area that I, like, really have a strength in because I love connecting people. I love, hearing like, it is absolutely the best part of this. I get
Mhm.
to be a therapist, not in the same sense. I get to talk to people because 'cause I've always had the talking, coat closet, kindergarten. So it really fulfills that part of me, and then I get to talk to some of the best people because these are people that that are coming and joining together, and you're joining together on so many common interests. But it just really is the community, and the support has been so at times I just can't even believe that it's even, like it really is. It's like something so unbelievable when you see that kind of support behind you, and people really help and care and want to get the mission. Like, that is so awesome when it gets to that. It really is. Like, I've just been so moved by it. So
And
moved.
one thing I've noticed, I'm kinda like that now. I'm at the age where, I've written short stories and stuff all my life. I've had a few published in small things, and it's fun, and so when I watch a movie or TV show, there's only so many storylines, and Heather's like, did you know that was going?" I get bored with it because I kinda know where it's going. The movies that keep my attention are, hard to figure out, and that's what keeps my attention. And so, what the point I'm getting to, I have found myself in the last probably 3 or 4 years, instead of looking for a TV show that comes in prime time, I'm looking for YouTube. Like, who's on tonight? What are we talking about? And a lot of people here that's in chat right now, they do the same thing. That when I had my surgery and I couldn't sleep for so long, man, I was up at 3 in the morning. So you have the West Coast shows are on, and I met a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
people that way,
Isn't it great?
Insomniac.
It's
Yeah.
fun. I call it chat hopping. I'm like, I love when I get in here, and, it's like, it's so much fun, and it beats I don't watch a lot of TV. I can't even tell you the last time I really sat and watched a TV program because, like you, it's so different than what really happens, and I'm like,
Oh,
"Why?"
yeah.
We've lived in the land of illusion a little too long here, so, like, I appreciate when people are authentic and genuine, and they those quirks that you might be scrutinized, they're great. This is a great platform from them, and letting other people get to know you because I like you. I get such a joy and laugh. It's always funny. Chat's always like, oh my gosh, some of the stuff that they come up with is great. I'm like, this is classic. You can't even make this up.
And what's sad is, I used to enjoy now some of my favorite things to do, sit around the fire and tell stories. You hear some of the greatest stories that can't be told publicly around the fire, and then your front porch
Yeah.
or back f f I used to call it I had a little, newspaper article years ago in a very small newspaper, but I used to call it, front porch therapy, and I think I've heard it now in songs or something, but but it's kinda we all talk, and you look, don't I'm not naive. I know when you talked to everybody on the front porch, and when you went home, they get on the party lines and they're telling the neighbors what's wrong
It's like,
with it,
oh,
so
yeah.
but it still
It
made you feel better.
broadcasts, then it's broadcasted out. I mean, yeah.
I told people a long time ago at our country store, I was like 7, 8, 9, and 10, and I'm watching the dynamics of the old people and how they do. And as I got older, I said, "Oh, y'all, the only way to not be talked about when you leave a store is be the person that locks it up with a key and goes home. As soon as you leave, everybody."
Oh, isn't it? I worked in undergraduate school. I worked as a bartender at a local. It was like something right out of a show, a small town. And I said, this is the news headquarters right here. All the news spreads right from here. And yeah, it's crazy when you start thinking about it. And I'm from a smaller town. So the last one I lived in was only like under 75. Now that gets a little uncomfortable because you could sneeze and your neighbor's gonna know it like within seconds. I mean,
Yeah,
it's like,
you're
yeah.
you're spot on. I know, it it's one of those things, you either get used to it or hate it and have to go to another little town, and,
I went to
there
another little town. After one of the locals came up with her cell phone, and I entitled a video like "The Things Your Government Doesn't Want You to Know About," and they were coming up at the gas station asking me what this was all about, and I
yeah,
thought, "Oh God, I don't think I can explain this."
but there you go. That's exactly the mindset that we're talking about that keeps people from discussing these subjects, right? It's
Oh
exactly
yeah.
because Fred, sees a UFO, uh, he might come tell it, and then he's roasted and torn apart, and they laugh at you, and so the next person that sees that and they didn't believe Fred, well, they see one, what are they gonna do? They're not gonna make the same mistake he did.
Oh, how the tables turn. Yeah.
Oh, I
Oh
love
yeah.
it. I love it
Oh, I
when
do too.
yes.
Oh, I do too. I just recently had a local and they're like, "Hey, we're getting in," and I thought, "Well, huh, how many years later, who's the crazy UFO lady now?" You
Yeah,
know?
that's right. That's
Right.
so what, I'm interested because I haven't heard, your story, and you don't have to, like I know it's a lot, but what was one of the first things that happened that made you think, "This is not right?" What was that? I mean, so what introduced you and I'm sure it was probably early if you're like me.
Not for you, not ET and UFOs, but my grandma, when I was younger, my grandmother, her and I were, I was with her nonstop. We were like this. And so she saw a UFO. So you have to believe for it to
Mhm.
be possible. So that whatever that means to you, you have to have that belief that it's possible. So I grew up, I was afraid of skylights, which I think is interesting, but I always thought that I was going to be abducted, which is crazy. And so then later, 2017, I came face to face with one. MUFON measured it to be 30 feet away, 50 foot in diameter, and that sucker was not more than probably 15 feet above my head. It was the most
Oh my god.
terrifying. It was the most, if I could, I was in a graveyard. There was no shelter. I was with my neighbor. And I thought, if I could dig a hole right now and I'm going into like, Civil War era, I'm good. This is a better option than that thing. It came 1 mile and then it crept over. Like it was the most scariest, but once I made it through it, and my brother 2 weeks prior in that same area, and my son had seen one. So he came and he was so shook up, and I was like, "Eric, why?" He's like, "I saw you," and I thought, "Well, can it be any crazier than the ghost or spirits?" No, but yeah,
Right.
oh, it was like a whole new level up there.
Well, I know the first one I ever saw, I was around 17, and it wasn't that close, but it was close enough, and that it's one of those moments that you have to rethink some things. You have to rethink the
Oh
things that
yeah.
you thought you believed, but what I did, I found a path to what I believed and still include that. That I think when you reach that point, you've gotten to a place where a lot of people can't get to or they don't talk. You know what I mean?
Oh
So it
yeah.
didn't shake my faith. It didn't shake. It shook along with the Bigfoot like 2 or 3 years prior. Now I'm like, okay, I've had ghost experiences, a dadgum Bigfoot, and a spaceship that left this planet and went straight up into a night sky with no clouds and went into space like in an instant. So it wasn't like I saw a light way out there and I thought, I wonder what that is. It's like you knew exactly what you were looking at, and that shakes you to the core.
Oh,
And you're like, okay, I'm gonna have to start doing a little thinking on my own instead of believing. all this other stuff, you know.
When that realization comes to you that the majority of what you have been taught is not even true, that really shook me. Like I thought, oh my gosh, well, at least I can count on this. And then I got realizing, I used a 1979 Encyclopedia Britannica to do most of my stuff. Like this is not, it was just like one thing after another. And I was like, the lies are endless. Like they really are. It does. In order to get here, you have to shed yourself of all that programming and all of that. I thought I knew. I thought I could trust this. I thought I have to go back through, and now I have to eliminate it. I'm going to assume, unless I've proven it otherwise, that it is, null and void, because it really does. It puts you in, you got to be very, very comfortable and good with yourself to really embrace it.
And I went through, I know this, y'all, this is my regular show and everything. We talk about everything here because there are connections. I mean, if you haven't made the connections, hopefully we can point you in the right direction. But just what you said, I have some of the same encyclopedia, I think it's Britannica from the 60s, that were given to me because a lady was going to throw them away. And I was curious to see how much more detail certain subjects had and all this. It's like night and day. They're still here. Yeah, I've got them in the back room. They're still here. I can go look up something and it'll go into detail and explain it. And you go to something newer, it's either not there or it just gives you the highlights, right? Just and I went to school. I went to college in 90. I went for a couple years. I had to leave and come back and help my family with their business. But I went back after the business shut down. They widened the highway and, knocked our family business out. And I think it was 08 or 09. And I took a few classes over to help my grades. And the difference between 1990 and 2008 or 9 was unbelievable. Everything had been dumbed down so much. I sounded like a genius in class because I knew all these answers, and all the young people were like, "How did you know that?" I'm like, "Well, that's what we were taught back when I was in school." So.
That's so true. But think about it. It's like we're living what they're writing and documenting in history right now, and it's not coming out very accurate in my and I think, man, if this is what this is like right now, but the deal is like with the internet, you can change it. So I started getting screenshots. I have like 47,000 screenshots. Why? Because they change everything. So I'm like, I want a record like you. I wish I would have kept and held on to those because it would have probably really been an eye-opening experience to open one of those Encyclopedia Britannicas again.
Did you see the story, with everything nowadays, you can't trust anything that's a fun or good story. But there was a headline. There was a lady supposedly has been VHS taping the news and TV shows for like 30 or 40 years because even back then she said she was going to make sure they didn't change anything. I don't know whether that's true or not, but when I saw that, I'm like, some people won't even get that, but I know what they're saying, and it happens all the time. It's just, people that's been with me since the start. I used to tell a story about my son. He came home from school about 3rd grade. I was helping him study for a history test, and he got to or I had a question, and he was answering. I said the first American flag was designed or made by, and he looked at me. I'm like, well, oh my God. I said, I know what they want you to say. They want you to say Betsy Ross, but that's totally wrong. And he said, what do you mean? I'm like, well, and I showed him. I went to AmericanFlag.org, official website, had this long story about how the American flag actually was designed and made, who did it, and that Betsy Ross got credit for it because 90 years after she died, she had a great nephew or something that told that story, and they just accepted it. So I said, now here's a point that you're at. You can make a good grade and tell them what they want to hear, or you can make the choice to tell them the truth. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Well, he put the truth on there, and the next thing I know, I get a note from school like, he said you told him this. And so I went to americanflag.gov, and I printed it out and I highlighted a few things. I said, hand that to her. I never
Isn't
heard a
that
word.
true?
Yeah.
You don't realize, and I said, that is so true. But we had Operation Mockingbird, where the CIA infiltrated our news media. That's why when they regurgitate it, it's continuous. And they didn't just stop and apologize and say, this is a methodical, thought out plan. I mean, they control the narrative. It is so true. I've gotten so many calls, and it's so funny with my child, because he is the one that questions us. I said, we don't just accept authority. We do it, but we do it respectfully. We do it in accordance to the Constitution and what your rights are. I might not agree with what you say, but I will fight. If you're not harming somebody else or harming yourself, I will fight for your right to say it. And that's the bottom of the line.
I've seen people do things that I didn't agree with growing up, but I knew it was their right. So I didn't have to agree with it, but I didn't have the right to do anything about it either. You can talk to them, and I don't know why I understood that. I don't know if I had, my dad had friends that were military and stuff like that, and I may have heard one of them say one day, like I don't agree with them burning the American flag, but I went and served the country for their right to have freedom of speech, and I thought that is so freaking cool that he has that attitude. Now if he caught them in the back alley somewhere, it might be a different story. But so I had smart people around me, and I paid attention to most of it. It didn't do me any good. I mean, but I think a lot of times when you hear a comment like that, at the time, I was trying to understand it, and then you go and you think about it, and I thought that was pretty cool. Now, I didn't want to get into all this, but it does. It's part of this whole thing. I mean, so and I know, and a lot of people in chat know. I know Blackie knows. We don't have 100,000 viewers because if you push things out in front of people, they're going to check it out anyway the first time. Your guest from the last show, if y'all need to go watch that guy, the whistleblower guy that you had on.
Yeah, Zach. Isn't he great?
Oh my God, he was great. And that's a person with courage, and courage, comes in all shapes and forms. People that come, KDG is right here. KDG's had terrible encounters. Started when she was a little girl. And for a long time, she wouldn't. I asked her to come on the show. She wouldn't do it. And I understood. It's okay. If you ever get ready, let me know. And then finally, she got ready. And I think the first one was Woodwalkers. And you could tell she was nervous. You could tell, but she did a great job. She does a really good job. She's been on my show twice, maybe since then. And she's a little more comfortable with it. And taking that first step's the hardest. And so, things you've done and things that your last guest have done, that's really big steps, because the people that you might make mad, you're risking everything. And that's what I was impressed by him when he did what he did. I'm like, man, that's courage, because you never know if you're going to make it home when you talk about that stuff.
Anyway, you don't.
So did you have anybody around you that you could discuss these things with back in the day before you had your podcast?
Well, see, I came from a family of strangeness. Like I said, my grandma, she owned a salon. They owned businesses. So people didn't mess around like that back then. They kind of, my grandpa was a 1st Division Marine Corps, and he taught us what the price, of all this comes with. And then to add that, she was like the lady that the salon, the talk about that town hall, that was the gossip center of the ladies, all the wives, week after, and they wanted to hear about what was going on. So yeah, she was when she was alive. Now it did transition, because I had a lot of people who were angry at me after like the 2020, 21, 22, 23. They were a little angry at me about that. So they they kind of made it personal. Like if they,
Mhm.
so it was like my grandpa, I said they would never have gotten by with what they got by with if they were still alive. They don't make them like that anymore, but they were very much, my grandpa never asked for help up until the day he had a stroke, Roger. He drove himself back to his house, somehow got up the stairs, and we're
Yeah,
like, you had a massive stroke.
right.
Paula died. Why are you
Yeah,
driving home?
yes.
But that's what he did. He had a lot of pride. And I was raised like that. You do this, you're going to go out, you work very hard. And if you have it, and this is the right, my grandpa, I remember we had to go, we got a call. Where is he? He's up in Lancaster, a local small town. Why? He doesn't have his driver's license renewed. And he's up there. You can hear in the background, is this Russia? Are we in a communist country? So those are the people I come from.
Well,
When I say I come by it honestly, I really do.
and that's good because a lot of people don't have that. And I did meet some people, and it's almost like you're drawn to them and you don't know why. And then it's like, hey, you know anything about Bigfoot? And they look at you, well, what do you know about it? And some people say no in front of a lot of people and then come later. And I remember uh I had a job, and it's after I started this, and I might have a logo on or somebody's show logo, and people would ask, and then they're like, "You believe in that stuff?" And I'm like, "Well, I kind of have to." And I would tell them, and they'd look kind of, you know, like they didn't believe me. You know what?
Yeah.
But what I found out, the best way to loosen them up and get them talking was one of two things. The first thing I start with, anybody in your family ever seen a ghost? Oh man, I'm telling you, that's like 80%. Uh, they either had some experience with weirdness or they knew somebody that was really close to them that did. And then once I got them talking about it, and then, well, what about UFOs? Well, well, Uncle so and so. And then by the time the conversation was over, I did it to kind of dig into their mind and let them, because my comment, I had a brother-in-law at one time. Uh, he he's my former brother-in-law, and he was here helping remodel my house. And he said, "You got a podcast?" I'm like, "Yeah." He said, "What do you talk about?" Because he listens to like political stuff. I said, "Well, Bigfoot." He said, "Bigfoot?" And he kind of looked at me. I said, "Don't you sit there and judge me, because you told me 15 years ago you got up to go to the bathroom one night and there was a 3-foot tall troll in your hallway." He said, "I did, didn't I?" I'm like, "Yes." So,
Yeah, slipped on. And I remember stuff like that too. I always put somebody's storyline. You tell me something, and I remember. But yeah, it is. It's like you don't. You said it. I'm just this person. Like, come on, you don't have amnesia now. Come on. Oh yeah.
yeah,
I think we
yeah.
probably have. Who knows if we, like I said, when you come to that non-human intelligence, the frequency, and I'm not convinced like that these are separate. I think that we see it, and what comes to us is going to, I said, has anybody ever thought maybe, just maybe, it's not about what we're seeing, but about who we're supposed to meet, the group of people and what we're supposed to do here. It really could be. You got to keep an open mind, because it's not it. You can make the confirmation, but I grew up, I always remind people, if what angers you about somebody else, or what rubs you wrong about somebody else, is something about yourself. So I am the walking, talking, I take accountability for it. But I grew up, and I went to a Catholic school. My mom, literally, I thought, don't panic, lady. She's ready to call the priest. I remember how traumatizing this was. I was envisioning a scene, because why? They let us watch The Exorcist growing up. I mean, that wasn't abnormal. I don't know, but
Mhm.
it was like, it scared her. It scared her to the point where now I'm like, I shut down. I started writing these, letters or notes on paper. I say, oh, I had a dream, or I started doing that. And then it got to a point in this, when the ET happened, I had to be really comfortable, like really comfortable. And when you have to tell somebody, and it got to the point, because I knew They told me I was here for communication. It changed everything. And I thought, man, I could go on with all this weirdness and crazy. There's stuff in the sky. The neighbors are noticing. It's causing a spectacle. People are like, oh, I think you've seen too much. And they saw it. Everybody saw it around. We had one Roger come down, intercept us on the road. It went and shot off. I have it on video. It was through a dirty windshield, but it was analyzed and they saw it too. And I've got pictures of the triangle. I mean, how do you tell somebody that is UFO? But here I was out talking to somebody in the community. They're like, our son saw it. We matched up the time. We matched up the location. And here he had never even talked. He wouldn't even talk about it. And I thought, this is crazy. If this isn't confirmation of something that's come down on the road, that they knew how many years it happened in 2000. I think that one was 2018. I'd have to look back at the exact footage or time. But that, we chased this thing around for 45 minutes. It was so much fun. But then again, it causes some attention. So at some point you're like, ooh, do I continue to do this? But if it didn't, it had such a hold on me. It was like at that moment in time, it changed everything. So I started to think and do, and it's just totally different and outside my character, but I found purpose.
Right.
I found
And
direction.
you said something that gave me goosebumps because I feel this way, exactly what you just said. I've said it on my show. I was asked that question yesterday, actually. My buddy said, "Do you think that you've seen this stuff and this stuff has happened to you because you're meant to help educate other people or be there when they come to you and you can help them?" And I'm like, yes, I've thought about that. And these people that are in chat that are with us all the time, we're being drawn together, whether it's your show and what you talk about or our show and what we talk about. It's it's weird. It's weird to think about, but there's something that's going on. I don't know if you want to use the word an awakening, because there's been a small portion awake, and then it's been spreading, and people are searching out different subjects. And right now, right now, if I've said this, if somebody has an encounter, a Bigfoot encounter tomorrow, or UFO lands in the backyard tomorrow, they've got all of this access to this information of people that has been experienced this or researching for years, and it's out there for them. 35 years ago, well, it's been longer than that now, but when that happened to me, I had nothing. I had a book in the library that had Nessie, and it had UFOs, and it had Bigfoot, a little bit about each one, no real information. Small town like you're talking about, nobody to talk to. But if it happens tomorrow, I guess people like you and what we do and tons of other people that do a really good job, there's places to go. We have people in chat right now that, went that route. I didn't know YouTube had this stuff for a long time. As soon as I found out, I'm all, what, and elbows digging in and looking and watching everything I can.
Oh, get in the
Because
candy store. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
it educated me to a point, but I did learn this, and everybody knows this that's here. No, nobody's stupid that's here. There's so much BS to filter through. You have to do that. You have to filter through it. You have to find people you trust, whether it's Pyro. Yeah, I'm not. Me and Ray Stevens got in an argument one time years ago. The guy, the singer. So that's what they're
Oh,
mad at me.
that's funny. They get to know you. Isn't it so cool when they come back and they're like, they remember stuff that I'm like, wow. I'm always so honored. Like that was that important, important to them that they remember.
Yeah.
And it really is. It's a great feeling.
Well, it's this is the truth. If you've ever seen a meme on the internet, that was the truth. This is the one. People don't really remember what you say or do. They remember how you make them feel. And, I'm like that. If I feel a connection with somebody, and and I started out, I was so nervous, I think early on, I joked a little too much, but I tell, we get on with woodwalkers, and they have a nighttime show sometimes with Greg and Misty. That's wood with Night Owls. It's just a laid back show for us to, kind of like the campfire or the porch, and people enjoy some of those because we tell some of the things that's happened in our lifetime, some of the trouble we got in, some of the funny things, and it. I forgot how fun that was because when you get out of school and people go their separate ways, you don't have that core group as close to have that interaction with. And I told Heather, I said, man, I'm so glad I met all these people because it's kind of reminded me how great it felt to have friends that were like-minded. And so, I thank all of y'all for being here. I mean, I do it a lot, but it's, if, you know, and I think Coley, the point that we both are at right now, if there was just two people that showed up to watch the show, but they were all in and they were learning and they were helping, I would still do it. I don't
Me
think,
too.
you know what I mean? It's not, you start out worrying about all that, and then it gets to the point like there's more to this than what you originally thought. So, man, I'm telling you, there's some things that I didn't count expect and count on, and it's all good. So it and
I
you
do,
know,
and I say people know me, like, and they'll get to know me. I'm very protective about stuff too, and I said, I would rather, and I've said this a bazillion times, I'd rather talk to two people and it be a place that everybody had, felt safe enough to talk. And sometimes, it's not always. I'm quick to like protect those grounds. I want those people. I don't want anybody to get hurt. I never want anybody to feel left out. Every single person that is in that chat, I know something about. I know about them, and it's crazy because you get to know people so well. And I said, at the times where people didn't realize, like, there's a lot going on in life, stuff happens, and they were there through all of that. And I just value that so much. And I said, it's not about necessarily quantity all the time. It's quality. And we got great, great people. I absolutely love them, and it's like, and I take it very serious. I really do. I take that because people give you, and they trust you, and they put that faith. And it's like, we're supposed to be able to do this for our government. We're supposed to be able to do this, but I'm not going to be that person that you say, hey, put your faith and trust and put that out there. I take that very serious.
Yes, and that's one of the best compliments you can get is that, like, I trust you. I've always that floors me. And you don't always, it's not always said, but when it's there, when the trust is there, that's one of the things I cherish most in life, in relationships, is trust. Once the trust is gone, there's nothing left from, you know what I mean? So I do everything I can. My dad told me a long time ago, he said, the only thing you own in this world is your reputation. He said, once you lose it, there's no amount of money to ever buy it back like it was. He said, so always protect that. And so, I've had to tell at jobs, I worked at sheriff's department for 2 years. I was 19 and 20 years old, I think. And it was after I left school. So it might've been 2021, but, there was something I did one time. I could have been in trouble, really bad trouble, and didn't mean to do it. Didn't know what the rules were. And the sheriff had asked everybody in the whole place, all the shifts, do you know anything about this? Well, I happened to come back on from a long weekend off, and he called me in. He said, man, I've talked to everybody about this. Nobody knows anything. Do you know anything about this? I'm like, yeah, I kind of do. So I told him,
I know.
yeah. I told him the truth.
Well, I might know a few things about this. Yeah.
I said, if you fire me, I'll understand, but I hope you don't, because I can guarantee you that won't happen again. I just didn't know. And he said, why would you tell me the truth? I just told you nobody knew anything. I'm like, well, if I want to continue and maybe be a detective one day or whatever, it'd be a bad start lying to the sheriff, So
I agree.
That's just the way I was raised, and I was ready to take my punishment, but I can sleep at night knowing I don't know if there's anybody out there that hates me for something I did, um, backstabbing or whatever. Because I grew up probably like you. If there's a problem, you talk it out. It's like, hey,
Mhm.
face to face. Let's handle this
You
now. But
own
anyway,
it. You own it.
you own it,
Yes.
right? Own it, get it over with, move on.
It might be so and I have those moments, where I'm like, my intention, okay, like not everything and not every idea that I have is a good idea. It's not. I've got myself and that's how I've learned, but I
Yes,
always come from a good place. So I
right,
never, it's like, oh yeah, that might have happened. But this is really, what I was thinking. And I might not have thought, I'm ready because I said that cause. I'm that warrior. I got my sign. I mean, it's not above me. I was telling Roger before, I was like, oh, a cause,
right.
like I just rush right out to it. I don't always think it through, but it doesn't come from a bad place. So,
Oh,
yeah.
I understand. And look, I've never been the perfect person. I've made so many mistakes, but I've learned to apologize, to think about it so it doesn't happen again.
Hmm.
That's part of growing up. That's part of learning. I remember having a temper when I was younger, and one night I was like, "Man, I gotta control this. I gotta do something to control this because it's gonna get me in trouble." But
You're
I
in
was the
Generation Xer too, though, aren't you?
yes, and
I become
I
my
was
ed.
well, yeah, we could talk about that. That's
Oh
a
yeah.
week of
We
shows.
got a rare generation. I think you
Yeah.
said it best. Were we an experiment? I think we probably were, you know?
Probably,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, do, but you gotta find a productive way to channel it, and that has been where I really it took everything I had to find that. You gotta find the proper you gotta think about stuff. Don't just react and grab that
right.
sign. Let's think about it
Play the
on
long
what we're gonna
game.
do here.
Once you learn how to play the long game and not react emotionally, you've reached a point in life where you need to be. That's
So
all I say about that. That's
be the
oh my god.
passenger in a moving train. You can't take this life too serious. We don't get out of it alive, and that's it. It's just like all of this. I said the craziest thing is I posed a question to my audience. I was like, "What if?" And everybody who came on, I was like, I just wanted to get their reaction. I'm like, "What if all of a sudden, we go through this whole long, lengthy process, and we're taking this so serious, and we hear like, 'Congratulations, you've completed your simulation on planet Earth.'" Like, who
Yeah,
really? And you go back. I said yeah, the people's reactions were some guys like, "Oh, that would be," and I said, "Yeah, but that is what the reality of all this are. We do not make it out in our legacy. It's not the numbers, it's the dash in between. And it's what you make of it. And how do I want to be remembered?" I told my son, I said, Brody, my history is not really written accurately, but I'll guarantee you 100 years down the line, I said, this will be the people will reflect back on this. They will realize that I was willing and I did what I did, and I don't take it back. I stood up and I did what was right. But like I said, there's always repercussions. You just have to be realistic and weigh these balances out. If you can stay a step ahead, it's best for you, it's best for your people, it's best for your
mhm,
cause. Reactive emotionally, getting mad at the people. And I was there too. Like I thought, man, I'm really starting to dislike the people and that's where when I came to my platform, this happened before. It was the people that I trusted the most, like in my community. And I thought, man, they threw me right. That bus came and they threw me right under it. And that bus went,
yep.
it wasn't like a one way. I got hit by that bus several times. So I learned like, hey, do and say, but act in like you have to follow some guidelines. You have to follow a set of rules, even though we hate rules. Gen Xers hate them. I'd love to just burn the rules, to be quite honest. But you have to have them. It's the only way. If you're going to play the game, you have to know. And you're not going to do your people any good if you don't. If you're that reactive, explosive, and I can't take it that serious anymore. When you start to realize we're not out fighting one another, absolutely not. That's what they want. They want the divisive. They want, hey, what do we conquer and divide? But united we stand and together. And that means every single person who's talking about this is good for us. But that doesn't mean like you said, you have to use discernment. You have to use your discretion, do your due
Mhm.
diligence, look into it. Cause I don't want to put information out there that's not of what, I would tell somebody, hey, put my word, when I stamp my name on it, that's my word to you. And I might not have known at the time, and I'll always come, I'll be like, hey guys, we should rethink this, okay?
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
it's continuous. It's trial and error. Like what you thought today isn't going to be what you think tomorrow, and it's not going to be what you thought yesterday. Keep that in
And
mind.
because you keep an open mind, and you can make that shift. There's a time in my life where, I probably thought things were a certain way and I was a little stubborn. I understand that, but I don't know if it comes with time. But so doing what you do, you talk to people about paranormal, UFO, and I know I was on talking about Bigfoot. Um, what are some of the commonalities or things that you find in each subject that kind of go hand in hand?
Oh, there's characteristics I can tell an experiencer within
Mhm.
a couple minutes of being around them. There's so many you start to see, and it's like it's not always, even in the reactions, I can tell like that passion if somebody has that. I and this is where I think that, it's like the therapist in me. Okay, I'm
Mhm.
not practicing right now, but you don't get that. You can't unsee. It's not out of your blood. I know it's always there. So I can follow timelines. I wanted to be a criminal profiler. So I keep all this and I keep track. I'm telling you, every single story, everybody who's been on my show, I can go back and I can give you along the lines. And I always say to people, hey, I've been wrong about people before.
Mhm.
I have been wrong. And when the people bring that, and I try and constantly give people, but I do it in a way that I don't want to, like I said, if I know, like I had a guy with the alien in a freezer that was going to die, and I thought, I can't go on with this. Why?
Yeah.
Because I said, this man has not been, and he's not in government hiding. He's been in a mental institution. That's how he knows the insides and outsides of it. And that's it. But people, if they're coming on and they're going, I can't allow, like he tore the community apart at one point. And I thought, man, this is crazy. But you have to use and you have to do it in a way. I don't like when people are disrespectful or do that to other people. I won't tolerate those comments of, oh, crazy. Oh, well, but we haven't been called that before. Come on now, be original at least be
Right.
original,
Yeah.
you know? But you walk a little bit of a fine line, but when you're a leader and you take on that, you have to take on that responsibility. And you have to take on that means accountability. That means accountability all the way. And I'm going to be the first one to tell my story before anybody else does. I've learned, hey, you can't run, you can't hide from this. I ran for city council, and I know you want to talk, something, anything along the line, you had a bump, they'll find it. They go back. It doesn't matter. And they
Oh, yeah.
use that, and they use it. And if I just had learned the first time, tell your own story. You don't have to be the crazy math. Tell your own story, but own your own story. It's like you're not
There's
always going to agree, but I can give you an explanation, and let's move on with our day.
and I have people come to me and like, "You need to have this person on or that person on." And just like you said, I pretty much know what's going on, and I don't want to be responsible for spreading possible lies, and I don't get involved in it. I just don't answer them sometimes. And look, if you haven't been on my show, it doesn't mean I, think bad of you because I've got only so many slots once
Oh
a week.
yeah, yeah. You
But
can't get out of
we're not. But I'm gonna say I can count on one hand in the past 3 or 4 years where I've been told to contact somebody and I didn't. And it was because something I heard from them personally or was in public with them, saw how they really act behind the scenes, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
And I I don't wanna be a part of that, and
Mm-mm.
so there's not many y'all. I mean, don't be y'all, like, "Oh, Roger hates me." That's not what's going on. But, that's
Mm-mm.
why I wanted to start this second show. It gives me an outlet to have more people on, and, I I remember starting Coley and "Hey, I'm Roger Williams. I'm from, Middle Tennessee. I have this little show, and would you like to be on sometime?" And more than not, it'd be like, "Oh, yeah, sure. That'd be my." I'm like, "Wait, what?" I'm gonna be so shocked, like,
I
you know,
know.
but people enjoy it's therapeutic it's like when I was on your show a couple times. I talk about this stuff because it's therapeutic. I mean, I'm not in a place where I'm, I'm in a better place now because of facing my fears in the past 5 or 6 years. With the ghost thing that happened, well, ghost things that happened to me. I told on a podcast this week that he asked if I was into all this stuff before. I'm like, no, absolutely not. When somebody would bring out a Ouija board or they would want to watch a scary movie, Roger was out. I said, see y'all later. I'm not watching The Exorcist and all that. Now years later I
I
did,
know, right?
but that stuff was too real for me because I've had this happen in real life, and
Yeah.
it goes from experiencers, and some people get in a spot in their life where they can handle it, where I'm at with Bigfoot now and some of this other stuff. But at one point in my life, I was scared to death, because I didn't understand some of it. Um, and
So true.
it's just I didn't go seeking this stuff out. Matter of fact, with the deja vu, and I say deja vu, but I've had a few things that was so long in time period, like 20 seconds. It was almost like it was like seeing the future. And I know that's what deja vu is, but deja vu is like a half a second or a second or two,
Yeah.
and you're go like, wait a minute, have I seen this before? Now when they happen and they're 20 seconds long and you have time to tell somebody what's about to happen and it happens word for word, action for action, that's going a little too far for me. And so I prayed
I
about it
don't.
like God, please take this away from me. I don't know what it is. I don't like it. And it seemed to work, but every now and then it'll creep back in. But it's more of a familiar feeling, or you read something, you see something, and
Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't like it because I'm scared I'm gonna see something bad one day. You know what I'm saying?
Comes with a lot of responsibility.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
And you talk about that and too, that experiencers, it's like, they either shortly before or shortly after, it might not have been their whole life, but they're able to see across that veil. They've had paranormal. They're usually either Irish for Native American descent. I mean, we're talking about a lot of things here. Like I've talked to so many people, but we all share those commonalities. There's
Mhm,
definitely something, but I get the death dream, which is scary as all get, but I also can sense birth. Like when somebody's pregnant, I get that feeling. I know in my dream, I get it. It will be within a month's time. And it's like, you never know. I remember the last time I thought it was my grandpa. I was putting pictures together and everything, and it wasn't. I always know how close they feel to me, but that is not a very comfortable place to be.
mhm,
It's like that finality. I don't like it either at times. And
yeah.
I was growing up, it was like, man, we're to a point now where paranormal has come a long, long way. It was like evil. It was, whatever. It was a double, it was like it had all these things and terms that came along. So it wasn't very comfortable to be that kid that was like, hey, I see, there's people coming in. I grew up too. It was like with the Ouija boards, and it was the youngest. I remember my cousin and I were at my grandma's, and we heard this bang, and every single cupboard door of my
Mhm.
upstairs was open, and I was like, let's go. This is like now that, whew. I mean, there were some moments where it's like, this is very real. You can't
And
open it. All cupboard doors just don't open like that.
and what's confusing is some people are standing right there, and it could be two, like, for instance, my sister and I were standing in the doorway with the bedroom behind us, and my mom and dad we're in facing the living room. They're sitting there. We're talking to them. It's about bedtime. We're supposed, like, y'all need to go to bed. So we had to go through that one room to go back there. Well, the whole house, something just like you said, boom! It shook the house. It shook the floor. It rattled things behind us, and we start screaming. And they're like, "What's wrong with y'all?" And like, the house just shook, and they're like, "No, it didn't." They both of them sat there and said, "What are y'all doing? They thought we were stalling to have to keep from going to bed. And I'm like, are you serious? You didn't feel that? My sister was like, y'all didn't feel that? I'm like, no. It the whole house shook. Like you
Yeah.
said, things rattled in the cupboards, and um how does that happen? Now, if I'd have been
It's a
standing there,
known thing. It's a known thing. This is a known thing, and people say the programming. I've even had where people come within a certain proximity they couldn't see, they would take a or could see, take a few steps back, could not see. It was almost like whatever that people were creating around them. But again, that belief of something is so important and necessary to see through. You have to
Yeah.
believe it to be possible. Oh yeah, I don't like them either. My grandma
No.
said a table levitated. She had one of those old wooden ones with the glass pamphlet. She got rid of it. Well, I guarantee that's why the cupboard doors were flinging open and banging. I mean,
Yeah.
whoo,
It's
it was
that's
crazy.
and and you get the people like, why are you leaving? You scared? I'm like, of course. I never cared. They couldn't peer pressure me into anything, and it was like no, I'm not doing it. But that's coming from being your own person and being comfortable with yourself, though, because I reached a point in middle school. I remember exactly where it happened. I won't tell the situation, but somebody tried to hurt my feelings. I was 6th grade, they were 8th grade, and we're walking up the steps, and I've thought about it all the way up the steps. And when I had to turn 3 times to go up and up. When I hit the middle, I was like, why are you letting it bother you? Who are they? Who are they to talk at you like that? And by the time I got to the top of the steps, I made a conscious decision to not care and not let them have that power. And after that happened, I could say, "No, I don't wanna do that. I'm not doing it. Shut up. Leave me alone," and I'd walk off. And some of my friends, some of the people I went to school with, they became like that later, but a lot of them hanging around me, seeing how I handled it, whether they felt like I did, they felt comfortable enough not, and I would tell them, "If you're gonna do that, what they're doing, you're not coming with me."
I
You
love
know
that.
I'm not gonna be a part of it, so you welcome to come with me, but once you start doing what they're doing, you're done. I'm not gonna hate you. It's your choice, but I'm not gonna be around that. I'm not gonna be involved in that, and I don't wanna be associated with people that are involved in that. That walk up those stairs, in 6th grade, it
Took
gives
a
me
lot of
chills.
courage.
It a little bit of chills because that I know that staircase still exists in that old school building, and sometimes I think about that staircase and that moment. It was a big step. It was I didn't realize it at the time, but as you get older, you're like, "Where did that come from? Was that me thinking that, or was that, now that I've been involved in this stuff and knowing that pretty much everything's not an accident, it happens when it's supposed to, when I learned patience and stuff like that, well, if it didn't happen. There was one time, just y'all, this is, we're all over the place, but just for instance, there was one time I almost bought a lottery ticket from our store because it was on a Wednesday. I had
Did
to
you
work
feel it?
a lot. I had to work a lot. And my daddy and my cousin made just like, look, we need to give Roger some time off. I didn't know it. I was single. My dad came in and said, "Hey, halfway through the day, hey, what are y'all doing here? We're gonna give you half day off and you come back Monday." I'm like, "What?" So, and I'm sitting there thinking, I got $8 to my name. So, and I could have, if you'd have let me know, I could have saved up some money, and we were laughing about it.
You probably
Well,
got paid cash then. Yeah, it's a thing
well,
back then.
I took care of the lottery, and I look over at this certain ticket, and the thought popped in my head, buy you a couple of those, win a bunch of money, and have a big time. That went through my head. I went over there, and I pulled they were $2 a piece, and I started to pull them off. I was just about to rip them off, and then I said, in my head, I'm like, "You got $8 your name. That's stupid to spend half of it on lottery tickets." I pushed them back in.
Oh, it was a winner, wasn't it? Oh
I got
gosh.
ho I got home 5 miles away,
Oh
didn't have
no.
a cell phone. The phone is ringing, and
Oh
my
god.
cousin says, "Why did you put those tickets back?" I said, "I don't know, man. I'm broke. I got $8." He said, "You're
You
not
could
gonna
have.
believe this." He said, "You know the guy you held the door open for as you were leaving?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Oh
He
no.
said, "He bought one of those tickets and won $50,000." So
Oh
so
my
now
god.
I know how my family is, right? So I was like, "Quit messing with me. That's not funny."
Yeah,
My
yeah.
daddy
That's my
gets
luck.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I drive back down there, and everybody in the community had found out about it. And they're all down there talking, and I'm like, okay, now this has to be a pretty good prank to get the whole community involved. But
you realized at that point.
but
Oh, man.
so here's how I dealt with it. For 2 weeks, every time I think about it,
Cry.
I feel like somebody's stabbing me in the stomach with a knife and wrenching it, right? So, I'm driving down the road. I said, if you keep thinking like this, it's going to eat you up. You got to let it go. And I didn't know how to let it go. And then the thought come, I'm like, well, you know what? Things happen. I do believe things happen the way they're supposed to. I do know the guy that won it had a couple rooms that had dirt floors. He was poor. He needed it more than I did, even though I needed it. And then I thought, well, God might have been taking care of me, because if to go to claim it in Nashville, I may have had a wreck and got maimed or killed on the way. So that's how I handled it. And I was at peace with it instantly. But God, it was excruciating. It's funny now, it's funny, but the inner voice told me, it's word for word, buy you a couple of tickets, win a bunch of money, have a big weekend. That was what I thought. I talked myself out of it.
I feel this.
Yeah. And then every now and then, I worked for the lottery later, and some of the people, the rules when you're working for the lottery, you can't play it, of course. And every now and then they didn't know what had happened. They're like, you remember that guy won $50,000 at y'all store? I'm like, shut up. I don't want to talk about it.
There's a salt right in the wound. Yeah. Man.
But then you think about it. What was that? What was that internal conversation? Was that my voice? And then or was the second one my voice talking myself? You know what I mean? It's like,
you can have that. You have that internal dialogue. What I learned is that I wanted to people. There's a therapy on it. You have your thoughts create your you can directly relate that when you start to get a hold of that, and you start to get a hold of that inner voice in your head. And I started I was like, everything's a lie. I'm not believing everything's a lie, because that voice is very convincing. That voice is very powerful. And the voice at some moments in time, because in order to know the good, you have to know the bad. In order to be happy, you have to know the sad. It's like a swinging pendulum, but you got to get a hold of it. When you can get a hold of that, that's like you said before, pull the emotion out of it. Because if you can get aside of that emotion and you can make the decisions, you're going to be the one that's doing it a rational way. But yeah, you take those bumps and bruises. And I too, I was like, man, if it weren't, somebody said, you know what, if it weren't for Nola, I believe that. I'm clumsy. If there's a luck, it's like, man, there's no 4-leaf clovers, or there has been it's been a bit of bumpy road. Like, but it is like, but then and you got that close to it, and it's like, I'll find a way there. I'm bound and determined. I've got that determination. I've got that drive, but I'm going to get beat up just as badly along the way. And that's what I turn and I can laugh about. It's like, man, you'll never believe what happened. Like, but it is so. And think about it. That's exciting. If you can, as crazy as it's gotten, I said, we've always been able to find, like I said, that sense of humor in some of it. And it's therapeutic.
Yes. But I knew, look, for 2 weeks, I would be okay for 30 minutes. And then all of a sudden I'd think about it and I'd be sick to my stomach. So knowing, I have to let this go somehow. I have to justify this in my mind to move on from it. And that's not a big deal. I mean, it's not, it wasn't anything terrible.
That's $50,000, Roger. You had it right through your fingers. I know that would be painful. Oh God, that's painful. It's like slip. You actually touched it and you pushed it back. Yes. I mean, woo, that isn't. Yeah.
And what was the second part of that story? What was weird? That was our best selling ticket. I went through 3 to 4 rows a day for the whole day. People buying the mess out of them. Regulars coming in and getting, $50 worth, $100 worth, whatever. And that day, nobody showed up. Nobody showed up. None of the locals that always buy those never showed up. And I thought, that's weird. And so all of that had to happen. Every bit of that had to happen. Tom got sidetracked on the farm. The lady was off in Alabama that come through working in Nashville. Everything happened so that man could win that money because he
Oh
needed it worse than
yeah.
we all did. So yeah, there it's all how you handle situations. And speaking of that, we got a friend in chat. I'm not going to name any names, but you have somebody that's life is a certain way. You're in control of most every situation. You know how to handle every situation. None of this is on your radar. And then all of a sudden, something happens so terrifying out of your control that's almost physically or is physically impossible, but it happens and shakes your world up. How would you tell people? What advice would you give? And I know this person reached out to a lot of people and it helped, but just say the next person. What what would you tell them? Like, I don't even know where to start. I know you talk to people, but I know you've probably had people that were cruising right along, and then all of a sudden you have a UFO or they have a terrifying ghost experience or whatever. What's your advice to them?
You
And
know,
and you
everybody.
and I don't know as an answer, so
Oh no, no, no. I
I'm
tell
picking with
people,
you.
not everybody. Yeah, not. I'm not for everybody. Way I handle it's not going to be the way you handle it. But the thing of it is like, it- I think let's rip the band-aids off. Let's go out there and let's do.
Mhm.
But I respect other people, and I think it is hard. And I've seen the internal, I've watched the chat go out. I watched a lot of people are like, this is not for me, but they find a lot that somebody's out there to know somebody's been through what you've been through and to know they made it out on the other side. That is what I feel like, sometimes is a strength that I would need. So I try to give some of that same support back. And I thought, I'm going to lead the way. I'm going to do this. And it's going to, and it does. You see the more people that come forward, and I tell people, just keep an open mind. You might not want to do this today. You might not, like Werewolf, he's been on, and like a lot of other people. And it's like I said, you're now paving the way for other people. And when they
Mhm.
get to the point that they're able to, it is like in speech class when I was going to school, I stammered. I really struggled with getting out and talking in front of people. If you had told me that I'd be doing this today, I would have been like, you're crazy. There's no
Yeah.
possible way. There's no, but
I
something at that moment in time, and it all came together for me. I walked out and I thought, this is and now, and then after that moment, it's like, once you do that, like you said, that kid going up those stairs, when you make the decision at that moment in time, I said, that's when you really know that when you can let go of what other people think and you start to act and do and pave a road, that is the point that life completely changes.
Yep, and look, it's tough. It's hard. You can give advice, and how many times have you given people advice? And let's just make it simple and funny. So I come to Coley and I say, Coley, I got a problem. Can I talk to you? Sure. I got headaches. Well, what are you doing? You do anything to cause the headaches? Have you changed your diet? Well, the only thing I've been doing different is banging my head against a concrete wall. Well, Coley says,
Yeah.
Roger, that's probably what's causing your headaches. If you quit banging that head against the wall, it might help. 2 weeks later, they come out, hey, man, I'm still having those headaches. You quit banging the head against the wall. Well, no, I didn't follow your advice. You know what I mean? I have people
Oh
all the
yeah.
time. They'll keep coming, and they won't listen to you because they're not ready. They're not ready. You brought that point up, and so what do you do? Do you like, well, you idiot? If you're not going to listen to it, I don't do that. I give them several chances because I know whatever the situation is, they might not be ready for it. And you can only make a true change when you're ready in here. And if you're changing for somebody else, you're that's hard to do. If you want to make a
Mhm.
real
Yeah.
change. So when and it goes back to this, I was shy. I was really shy early on. My dad made me run the register as a kid, and that kind of started opening me up. And I had some people that helped me with that. They didn't tell me they were helping me, but now I recognize. And so I tried to pay it back I always pay attention to the kids. I was a football coach for 10 years, and my thing wasn't about the football. It was about them becoming stronger and better in here first. And I've some of my favorite ones are grown men now, and they was like, Coach Williams, what's going on? And I remember them being so shy. And I told one mom, I said, well, my goal for him is to get him out of the shyness. I don't care what he does in football. So just
Break them out.
leave him
Yeah.
here. Yeah. So God, I'm all over the place, but this is a great
No, I
conversation,
love it.
think,
Yeah, I love it. I was
Uh,
a therapist though, and people would come in. The one thing I never did, and ladies like, you really can. I said, uh-uh. I'd have to hold them accountable. I became very comfortable in those uncomfortable moments, but I always had unconditional love and support for them. I always gave
yes.
them that. But we might, it's like you have to even with your children, and you got to have some of those hard talks. It's a
Yeah.
part of life. To get, for change to occur, you have to get mad. There's certain things, but it's like we can love all parts of this. It's just not in that moment, I'm going to completely, no, I'm very loyal when it comes to that. And it's not, but you might have to maybe adjust the surroundings so it's safe for everybody. I say the rule number one as we come here is that you're not going to harm me. We're not going to harm yourself. We're not going to harm anybody else. Because I had those clients that they had the
Oh,
knives
yeah.
under. They had, it was just
Mhm.
some serious stuff that you dealt with. But when you go through and you're dealing with that severe abuse, neglect, trauma, which is a lot of this is similar because it really does in this community, that's the way through. And people don't realize that there's kids out there, they purposely are grooming them for this type of ability. But that somebody's standing where you are, Roger, that we have been through and we have made it out the other side. And that
Mhm.
is the hope that you give the other people. Your strength and your courage and you getting on here and openly talking about it is helping pave the way for somebody else to do that. And that's huge. You're changing things.
Well, thank you, and I think you are too. I like to include everybody that's doing this for the right reason. We have our reasons. I don't know how I ended up here. I can tell you the story of how I ended up here, but I couldn't. If you told me at 25 years old that this would be happening, I would have laughed out of man.
Yeah.
Like no way.
Well,
But
microphone. Yeah, okay. No,
but
no.
but because I am comfortable, and if you write, it was a huge step being a writer, because once you put your thoughts out there, okay, this person might like it, this person may hate it, this person may tear you down for it. You don't know what's going to happen, so you have to let it go. I think that was a big step too. Like, okay, put it
Let
out.
it
I
go.
wrote a lot of stuff that nobody ever saw, and that's like a lot of the songs now. Doug asked me, where did that come from? I'm like, 1984, 1989 with a conversation. I
You're
remember
so
those conversations.
talented.
Oh, it's just,
You
I,
are.
I'm
You
just
are.
I can't, there's lots of stuff I can't do, and then there's some things that I do, and it's
You do
easy,
it
and
really
I
well.
don't understand it. Thank you, but, uh, I can say, anyway, I don't get into that. It's just, it's that's therapeutic for me. I wrote a song, um, and in the song, it's, when I'm having a bad day, I write my way through it,
Oh,
and
isn't that true?
so
Music,
right.
it is. It's such a release. And if you're getting that out there and you're putting it out there,
Mhm.
plus you're putting yourself there. And the hardest thing is when you start to get, and I know you're past the point. It's like I have people, if I post something, like literally like you have to be very comfortable with yourself and you have to get to a good place because people write and you'll go through the shredder. They'll make sure of it. But you coming out the other side and you're paving the way and you're able to now because of that create this environment with these great people in chat that love and support what you're doing, and it's like, man, that makes it all worthwhile at the end of the day.
And, you know, I rethought I used to go back and watch like, I'd do a show and I'd watch it, and I finally quit doing that because it really wasn't helping, it was making it worse. So,
I know. Oh
but
god.
so you can y'all
Yeah,
go
I
back on
know.
the original channel and watch my first 5 to 10 videos, and they're cringe, I can't watch them. But here
Oh, it's so horrible. I know. Oh god.
I made a
Ah.
conscious decision, because I have friends that do this, they do very well at it, and they edit, heavily, and one thing, that's a lot of work, but 2, um, I remember making some mistakes in the newspaper, and actually joking about it the next week, and people loved it. And
Oh, we need to.
printing
Yeah. Oh,
the
yeah.
printing people were like, "Y'all are getting so many readers because y'all make fun of yourselves." We were pulling the B Rabbit thing out of 8 Mile, you know. I make fun of myself. You don't have nothing to say about me. So, but anyway, so I left those shows up. When I would make a mistake, I'd have something happen. I didn't care, but it let people get to know me. And I thought that
Mhm.
was more important than me looking like the perfect host. Or I've asked questions and used words. I'll wake up in the middle of the night. I used the wrong word. Oh my God.
What did I say? Yeah, I didn't let it come out right at all.
I meant to say this and I didn't. My IQ, sounded like it was around 12 when, I had Jeremiah Byron. He one of the first on Bigfoot Society, one of the first interviews I did. And you could hear it if y'all go listen to it. I was nervous. I thought this guy's gonna hang up on me. There's no way he's gonna let me talk, and I'm talking, and I use a word, and I'm thinking, was that the right word? I keep going, and later that night, I'm like, oh, that wasn't the right word, and I looked it up, and I texted JB, and I'm like, dude. You heard me say that, didn't you? He said, yeah. So you gonna edit that out? He said, I'll take care of you, Rod. But it was bad enough that it was bugging me. But look, I have no issue, y'all, with people editing, because it goes a lot smoother. You don't hear the uhs and the ahs and all that. But I'm just being me. I'm not gonna be anything else. If I'm me all the time, when any of you run into me I'm in Tennessee. If I see you in Arizona and you say, "Hey, Rod, what's up?" I'm gonna be the same guy there 5 years later than I am. Am I messing up again? That I am
No,
now.
no. You're
But
authentic and genuine. I hear you.
but you know what I'm saying? I don't have to remember how I acted, right? Because I'm too dumb to do that. I can't plan that far ahead. So, but I thought, well, here's the thing: if I do this and people enjoy it, just me being me, that's fine. If they don't, that's fine. Also, just going back to the stairs, right? If they
Mhm.
don't, and I tell people, I've met them, oh, what's Squatch and Holler? Well, we do a Bigfoot show, and tell them how to subscribe. And I'm, look, you're not gonna hurt my feelings if you listen to a show or two and you don't like it, unsubscribe. I'm not, I no hard feelings here. It's
Right.
everybody's not for everybody. So anyway,
I say that. I say I'm not for everybody, and
mm,
I tell people, like, they'll leave comments, and I'm like, maybe another channel's better for you. Just just kind of keep on down there. I
mhm,
don't think you're ever going to, and it's when you have that, and you have that root in there. I said one bad apple can destroy the bunch. It really can, and I don't. That's why I don't really go mainstream, because I don't. I'm set, and I feel like I'm paving the way, so to speak. Some people don't know it. And when I found out too, like I remember MUFON, I was like, hey, now that I'm here, what do I do now? They didn't have an answer. And I was like,
mhm.
well, you don't have a book? Like, there's not chapter 2 here. Like,
Right.
okay, like, you just got me into this now. You just got me into all this, and you didn't tell me that you don't know what to do next. And that was really eye-opening. I still talk. Dave Creeder from MUFON, they know I've called so many times, and I said, you're telling me, he's like, he said, did the veil lift? I said, what veil? What are you talking about here?
Yeah. What are you talking about?
Yeah, there's not a literal, screen. What, you don't mean you don't know what we do now? Like, that was shocking and alarming for me, where I thought, you know what? I need to go out. I test, I started going through, I thought, I'm going to find a way. I'm going to find a way so somebody else doesn't ever feel like, when you feel like nothing, so that's why I found, I went out and I started talking to people. Well, I figured out, if you have one subscriber, they won't answer. You're lucky if they do. So I
Mhm.
started on X, and I said, okay, I figured out you have to have some subscribers for people to listen to you. So that's when I was like, all right, I'm getting some subscribers, and we're going to go here. But people have been, and there's people like that, Mr. Catfish, people like Maybell 777. They've been, and they've watched, and they've been along with me from the entire. Me too,
But
Blackie. I got it
sorry.
in me too.
So, Blackie, that's half the battle, knowing you're crazy. Like me and Coley know
I
we've
know
got a
my
crazy,
crazy.
right?
Oh, I
So
know it.
And Coley, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I thought that was funny because he's halfway joking, but that's what happens. And I've been
I
doing
know.
it when I first started doing interviews, I'd be telling my stories and I'd go into a little bit of the paranormal and then the UFO. And in my head, I'm like, Roger, you're sounding batshit crazy. You need to pull it back some. I'm like, but it's the
Yeah.
truth, right?
Yeah, I know, 'cause you when you first get in this, it's like, okay, you go and you're just testing out I don't really know, and I thought, "Man, I am that person," where I thought, "Whoa, they're way too far. That's not far enough now." It's like,
Yes.
I know my crazy, but that's what you're supposed to do. If you knew, everybody's got it. There's nobody if you tell me you don't, Imma say, "Mm-mm." And what I've learned too is along the way is you got to as hard as it is, you have to let people have their own issues. So I
Yeah.
tell people, that's your. I looked at it. I remember my grandpa. He would go out canvassing. He had this home improvements, and we'd hear all these stories. He got thrown out of this person's house. He got this happen, because he's going door to door knocking. And my grandpa was a talker too. And I thought, he's just been thrown out. And he said, it's that lady's. He never said, he's like, he knew what it was funny. He would laugh about it, but he knew, it's just like, he's not for everybody. And that's okay. Cause he can't be that person and pave the way and say, hey, because I want to do this so somebody has the strength and the courage to do it themselves, because we all are entering in this at different places. We're all at a different point. I'm not at the same place. And what I thought, like going back, man, I have completely changed my view on things.
Mhm.
I've gotten a chance to talk to so many people, and you can feel it. Like you can feel that core when that core is rattled. You can tell when somebody else has been through that. You feel it.
Oh, the first time I was on Coley's show, she was watching me talk, and she said, "I think you said you've like an alien encounter, like a UFO." I think you brought it up first. I was like, "Actually, I have." You said, I could tell." Like,
Mhm. I know
believe
one of my
that's
own
how that
kind. Yeah. I
so
remember somebody came on and I was within 2 minutes. I said, "You're an experiencer." There is like it calls out, and the excitement in which you and
Mhm.
I recognized a lot of myself, Roger, and you, and I'm like, you're like, I said, me too, me too. There's just things that it's like you come together and you're like, oh, you're my people. Where have you been? And you
I
just
ju
recognize it.
and people that watch this show a lot, they see it. If I'm interviewing somebody and then they touch on something that's actually happened to me in the Bigfoot thing, I I about come unglued. I'm like, "Yes, yes, yes." And then they'll start, "Well
I know.
well, let me I I need to talk to you. I need to ask you this. I need to what was going on here? What was this?" It's I can't hide it. It's like, I didn't understand it. What happened to you? So I go completely off the rails, and because I'm genuinely excited to hear something similar, and it's and
Yes.
y'all, I've had people like try to compliment, and I have a hard time with it because I never got that because I was so shy. I stayed away. I stayed out of I laid low. I grew up around some mean people, so my best strategy was to lay low and not be the one that
Go undetected.
get your ears boxed. You know what I mean? Because I mean cousins and uncles and schoolmates and stuff. I mean, I did what I had to do at times, and they knew I would. But I felt like it was easier to stay out of trouble than to fight my way out of trouble. So, now it doesn't mean I wouldn't step up for somebody. One of my biggest pet peeves was somebody bullying somebody else,
Oh, yeah, don't
and
be
and
doing that. I come out of
and
nowhere too.
and
I
I
know.
I figured early on, I said, if I get taken out of this world in this way, it's probably gonna be somebody bullying somebody else and me step into something I can't handle. So,
Oh, I know. I was like,
but
I'm the first one to grab the pitchfork and the torches. Like, don't be messing around with any. I'm very protective like that too.
yeah,
I
but
can't stand that.
what was cool, I had a group of friends, that were like-minded in school, and there were several times where I knew when I stepped up and said something, I knew I had backup that was thinking the same thing. 'Cause we rode around and talked about stuff like that. You know, as a 16-year-old, just where your license, or 17-year-old, we actually we were goofy and all that. We liked to have fun, but we had some really good conversations because all of them came from, like you said, everybody has their own issues, right? And one might have an issue with the family not even acting like they exist, not even caring if they came home or not. Then you got some that were too strict, and I've seen that happen, and it end in tragedy for the young person, whether they do something on their own or whatever. And I found out early on um, that yeah, people want you to talk to them, but more than anything, they want you to listen. And if you can kick that conversation off and get the ball rolling down the hill, just leave them alone. Let them talk. Because I found out, whether it's Bigfoot or UFOs or problems in life, a lot of times if I'm talking to you, Coley, or I'm talking to my wife, or I'm talking to Blackie, um, and you're letting me talk, a lot of times I'm reminding myself of something I already thought about, but I forgot. It's like, oh, I hear myself say it. I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
I've already handled this before. I'm just going about it the wrong way this time. So,
You can't remember everything. You know what I
no,
mean? You can't.
right.
And it's
And
like,
the fact,
there's things along the line I didn't know connected. And then I hear somebody say it. And I'm like,
mhm,
I get so excited about this stuff. You can't, I mean, it's like meeting family, your long lost family you didn't know you had. You can feel that
mhm,
connection. It's a wonderful feeling. And Paul, who I was just talking about, May 7th, we got the same birthday. We're birthday twins. He's 20
mhm,
years later than I am. But Paul has been there since day one. When I had my channel before, I didn't realize that, because this is my third YouTube. So I didn't realize that this was the initial channel that I had started going way back when I was posting my UFO videos, when I didn't know what it was. I had when I got one subscriber, I was like, somebody's watching my videos. Like, this is great. Yeah, I was just like so cool. I thought that. And I'm like, man, who would have thought? It's so great. But they know from day one, we would sit there, and in the very beginning, we didn't know. Like Paul, he's in Canada. He had all of these things, and we were seeing certain things. We were describing it, sending stuff back and forth. There was like a small group of like 4 or 5, and it just has grown since then. But in the beginning, I said, fact check me, see if this has changed. No, you're gonna see the people are still there. And here it turned out that some of them found me again. It was just ran into one man just a couple months ago, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome.
I
You were
remember
there,
you.
and you
Yeah,
remember, yeah, from day
yep.
one.
And there's people in chat now, and there's probably people that are, this wasn't really a planned show, that would have been here, and they'll be like, oh, I didn't know about it. But you see these names, and they've been here, like you said, since day one. And I'm like, why did you hang around? Because it was horrible, but
I know.
right. But, like,
Oh my God, it's painful. I know.
there's been things that have happened on this show, or maybe Woodwalkers too, and and it's a joke now, where I'm panicking inside. I've got to hold the poker face. I'm texting one of the guests and like, oh my God, get him to shut up. He's totally talking about something different than we are, you know. And it's a lot of fun. And once you start realizing maybe how important it is to yourself and other people, that's when you reach this other level of you feel. There's been, I'm gonna be honest, and I'm they probably know, there's been a couple times I almost quit. And it
Mhm.
wasn't anything to do with them. Matter of fact, the reason I came back, I recharged and came back, was because of them. And that's the that's and I'm not saying, hey, I'm just here because y'all are here and it's y'all's fault that I'm here. I'm saying because I got to thinking about the relationships, comments that were made, messages that I got. I'm like, man, I can't quit. I got to find a better way to do this where it doesn't wear me out. And I got to
Yes.
find a better way that I can just do better. And where, you know, I didn't tell you this, but I don't know what you call this. I kind of know, but if I'm around a lot of negativity, I take all that in. I handle it
Mhm.
well on the surface, but I have to I have to get away, and I have to work it out in here, and I can do that. Sometimes it takes 2 hours, sometimes it takes 2 days or 2 weeks, depending on what it is. And but later in life now, I kind of understand what's going on or the feeling. And there were some things that was going on that, man, I think I took a 3-month break and had no intention of coming back.
It's
And
hard.
yeah, once I got everything situated where it needed to be, I'm like, I can't quit this. I can't. I miss, I miss these people. I miss talking to them, seeing them, because I was watching other shows, and people, you don't realize if you don't do this. This is a relaxed space here. This show is. Other things I do. I have to do a little different, but not too much different. But I can turn loose here. Um, Coley, she can tell you what you feel when you're doing your show and you're making sure everything's going correctly and everything, and it don't always, and it goes haywire and you're panicking.
Oh,
And
yeah.
but when you get to come on another show and just talk, don't worry about the other things.
It's
It it's
awesome.
it's it's awesome. And when people are like, "Hey, you want to do my show?" I'm like, "Oh, heck yeah." It's like, what
I
time?
know. I was like, "This
Yeah.
is great." I didn't have to you just gave me a link, and I was like, "This is awesome."
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
yeah.
And then you went and did the same thing you always do, and you started. I appreciate it, but it was funny. He's like, "I'm gonna put it out there." I'm like, "Okay," and I'm going to post it
I
somewhere.
gotta do something, Roger. I
Yeah.
gotta do something.
I'm like, I'm gonna post this on that site, and I'm like, "Well, Coley's already done it. I just made the link 5 minutes ago."
I was like, I gotta hold my own weight here, okay? Because if you're nice enough and gracious enough to set this all up, I'm like, oh, thank you. This is awesome. I don't
It
get,
is.
you get into, and it's like you put so much effort, and I realize how much effort people put behind the scenes. I'm like, least I can do is get that link out there.
Yeah, and yeah, and I like meeting different people. I have a hard time calling it a business because there ain't no money in it, on my end anyway. So, I mean, I think for it to be called a business, there has to be some, green involved somewhere. You know, but,
No, we're volunteers. A lot of it
there you
because
go.
at first you don't make any money for quite some time, and that's I'm way under. But for me, I was like, man, this is my. It's like some people go
Yeah,
on vacation or they go
yeah,
on whatever. This is where I felt like it was the best, and I've walked away too. I thought I'm done. I
mhm,
am done. This is, and I really did. I went through a period where I was like, I faced a lot of backlashing, and I thought, man, I've had my thing monitored. It's been testified in court. I mean, we're talking serious stuff here where have not backed down, and I've said, but sometimes I have to give myself a timeout, and I know when
yeah,
I do. And it's just
yeah,
like, don't take it personal. You got to shut down because you are highly sensitive, Roger. You're going to pick up, and you got to know how to then take that energy. Because I start short circuiting stuff out around me, and I'm thinking, man, I could be a one man wrecking crew in a matter of seconds if I don't give myself a timeout. Just know
yep,
it's not personal. You just gotta disconnect. You feel a lot of it, and it shakes you at some point because it's still going back to that trauma, and trauma is the way through this. And so that we should all agree upon. And it's like when I see people in my community, I want good people to know good people. So I'm like, man,
yep,
go over to Roger, go over, Blackie and Erica, go over to all these great channels because we are stronger together. We are stronger together. You
yep,
can't regulate, you
I
can't control, you can't censor.
nope, and it's, it's, uh, it feels like a responsibility at times, but
Mhm.
I can't think of it that way because if I put too much pressure on myself, but if I have to I have to work it out in my mind, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Because if I put too much pressure on myself, I'm gonna I'm gonna lock up. I'm not gonna be able to, just I like the
It just
feeling of
won't be
being free.
good.
Yeah. So, this question here, were you at Gatlinburg Bigfoot conference last year? No, but here's a funny story. My dad, this part's not funny, but my dad passed away July 22nd,
Yeah, I know, I got
22, right? So, uh, the first anniversary of him passing, I'm like, I was dreading the weekend. I'm like, oh God, we're 2 weeks out. And I'm like, man, this is gonna be a tough day. And my son, he was really close with my dad, and he's like, man, yes, what are we gonna do? And I don't know. So I thought it hit me. I started Googling events or something to do close by, and we're like 4 hours, 3.5 hours from Gatlinburg. And I said, "Oh my God, there's a Bigfoot conference on that day, on a Saturday.
Wow.
Let's go. Let's have a guys trip, and I'll take you and show you my dad's favorite place and your granddaddy's favorite places in Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, tell you stories, and we'll do it like that." He said, "Yeah, hell yeah, let's do it." All right. So we got a guys trip together, and we go to the Bigfoot conference. I've never been to a Bigfoot conference. I didn't even have this show. And
Oh,
walk
how
in
cool.
there, and I see people that I've been watching on YouTube, and I ran up on a guy that has a major podcast, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm Roger Williams. You see in chat and, on your Facebook page." He's, "Oh man." So we were talking, they were talking to my son, and, he figured out I was just normal. And he said, "Hey, listen, I got to have 3 people to be on stage 10 minutes apiece during a break. Would you want to get up there and tell your story?" I said, "On stage?"
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah. And he was like, so this turned into one of the coolest things that's ever happened to me. So me being me, I'm looking at the schedule and I'm looking at everybody. And he said, "You want to go first, second, or third?" I said, "I don't know. Let me think about it." So I'm looking at the schedule, and I'm like, I see how everything's set up. I'm like, "Hey man, I want to be last." He said, "Are you sure? You might not get your full 10 minutes." I said, "Man, I don't care. I want to be last." And so he walks off, and my son looks at me. He says, "Why you want to be last?" I said, "See over on the board, Cliff Barackman's going to be backstage waiting to come on stage. If I'm last, that we're back there with him, and you can take some video of us chit chatting maybe." And he's like, "Oh yeah, cool." So we go over there, but the thing was, they were all genuine, nice people, and they knew I was nervous. RPG, that's how I met him. He was in charge of the thing. He was funny, full of energy. He gave me some advice. Cliff actually gave me some advice, and went on stage after I got finished. It was such a relief. It went well. I was shocked at some of the things that came to me to do to make it look semi decent. And so RPG hugs me coming off and I'm not going to say what he said, but he was real encouraging. And then Cliff was like, to me at that time, these people have been on TV. They're people that I'd seen on TV and documentaries or whatever. And they was genuinely worried about me on stage because I was worried, gave me advice, and were happy before me because I did a good job. And that sequence of events, and I know this is a long story, that sequence of events of being on stage, stepping up, doing something I was scared to do, and then what happened after backstage, gave me the courage to start Squats and Holler.
Wow. How
Yep.
cool is that?
So,
Don't you think all this happens for a reason? You look back and it's like, and these coincidences that you think you just don't know it well enough. Don't you
Yep.
feel like you're supposed to be here? Like this feels right. Something about it
Yeah.
feels very right. Remember, why is it different? It's just different.
Yeah.
Now is the right time. I can't explain it, but I know it.
I got to say bye to Miss Diane. Thank you, Miss Diane. Miss Diane's been here since the first show. She sat through the excruciating uhs and ahs, and I don't know how to turn this thing on. And thank you, Miss Diane.
I know. Oh God, I am a nightmare. I even kicked my computer over. It went flipping on me, and we were talking. Everybody kept keep going. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
So but yeah, it's great.
If you could see what was around me, it's total chaos, but it's like controlled chaos. People walk in and they're like, "Wow, I thought it'd be like a studio." And I've got items gorilla glued to a wood desk that was a homemade wood desk that they're like, "Why is that glued down there and this?" And I'm like, "Because I have had the camera fall off into the floor before." And I'm kind of while I'm live and I'm digging. And so anyway,
oh my gosh. What's been your biggest or worst, like that you would say is like the classic moment you look back to and just really felt it?
That's number one. I got one right off the top of my head, and people that's been watching, Gary and Bobby Ounce, and I think it was before Milkman might have been there. So I had a guest a guest on, and we used to do I'll be able to do these again, y'all, the Halloween and Christmas shows, because I've got this channel. So I had a guy on. I didn't know him that well at the time. Very seasoned researcher, great guy, smart man. I had Misty from Woodwalkers and me, and it might have been Greg from Woodwalkers. But what we do is we dress up. We pick a theme, and we act goofy, and we just have a show for the fun of it. Well, my buddy Don, the former game warden, it was MUFON investigator and all that. He's very highly intelligent, very, very high IQ guy. And so Kane was talking about losing his sight at one point in life. And what he was talking about was his third eye sight. He was talking about, about something happening, and it kind of went away for a while. And, he remedied that, and now he's back and all this stuff. Well, I don't know what Don was listening to, but Don said, "How long ago did you lose your sight?" And he's like, "Well, it was when." And Don tells this excruciating 45 minute to an hour story about he had a friend that was blind, and he thought he was physically blind. And it got so bad. I'm texting everybody. I'm calling Don. He's not.
Oh, no.
And yeah, Patrick was there. Patrick. So, well, the bad part was Kane picks up on it, and he's got his camera, at 10 o'clock up here, looking down at the side of his face. So Kane starts. He's got him like an adult beverage in a glass with ice, and he starts feeling for his glass like he don't know, he can't see it. So he's adding to it. I'm sweating bullets. I'm panicking.
That's awesome.
I didn't want him to offend anybody, and I thought this story's got to end. This story's got to end, and it was the longest story ever told. But I was scared.
Man.
I was scared he was going to be embarrassed and offended and all that. Once we told him what was going on, he laughed. He thought that was the funniest thing, thank God. And he goes back and watches it every now and then. But sitting here, losing control of the show and not being able to direct it in a certain way was terrible.
Keeps you on the edge of your seat, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Now,
Oh, yeah.
Now, as far as, so far the guests have done pretty well. River in Australia, all of y'all know all of us like brothers now. We talk maybe once a week on like a messenger call, and some of the guys are in here now. But River, his Wi-Fi wasn't that great for a while. He's better now. But that was tough to go through, the stuff like that. But
It's hard.
we had a guest, a big name guest, ghosted me. And you know how you go through and you make the thumbnail and you put it out there and you spread the word. And I never heard the first thing from him. I still haven't heard the first thing from him. And something might have happened, right? I don't know. I don't hold it against him at all, but things happen. But as far that story was definitely number one. I've had little issues with the technology part, but other than that, it's been pretty good.
Oh my gosh. You can't laugh at yourself. I've had some really uncomfortable moments. Like, if there's a blooper, I guarantee you that and then when you start to go down that road.
Yes. Well, once
bad.
it happens, the ball starts rolling and you lose control of it, and it keeps getting bigger. It's like I got to the point where I didn't know what he was about to say, and I almost killed the show right then, like right in the middle of it. And, you know what I mean? But if that's the worst thing that happens, that's pretty good. But it's become one of the funniest stories that gets told. Because there's more to it, and the people that were there, like you see in the chat, are like, "Man, that was funny." I think it was funny because it lasted so freaking long. It's what Katie.
Hey, when you're squirming, it's just like you sit there in your seat. It's like, oh God,
Katie,
and
do
your
you
audience knows you, and they know that
Yes.
they see it. They see it with you.
Yep. And I know, I remember, yes, the comment about I used to get complaints all the time because, when I started this, I had the bare minimum. Like, I was buying stuff from Temu, whatever,
Oh
my
yeah.
microphone and everything, and sometimes it worked, sometimes it wouldn't. So that made it tough too. Um, and then as I got monetized, every bit of I haven't made a lot at all, but every bit of it went into, this laptop, this camera,
All around.
this mic here, and and the light up here. I got a studio light. Actually, it was given to me. And when people walk in, it looks like they're gonna shoot a movie with Leonardo DiCaprio in this bedroom because it's so huge. But I had a friend that had a professional podcast, and what they did, they upgraded. They got a building, and they built this big set. And then he's like, "Hey, man, you starting a podcast? You've been on my show a few times." He said, "I'm not gonna use this light." And I'm thinking, "Okay, it's a little small light, And I drive a county over and I pull in, and he said, "Let's go in here. It's in this room." And I'm like, "Wait a minute. All of this?" I don't think it'll fit in my room. So that's why I look like, but you have to have it for a green screen, but anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I always set my corner off, but I said it is my space. And if you saw around
Right.
it is controlled, but this is like where I feel comfortable. It's like this is my place and I can feel, it's like you can sit back, you can relax, you can do all those things. But yeah, people
I've
I
got
always
stuff
say
around me. I've got Lori's pecans that she gave me at the LBL. I've got notepads. I've got,
oh, that's awesome.
I've got pews over here, and
Oh, the
I
random
got
stuff I have surrounded myself with is great license plate. Like, I mean, I don't know. But
milkman.
I think maybe we feel comfortable or it makes us feel it's like
Yeah.
that security blanket.
Yep, and Milkman will make fun of me about this because he already has. I've got like a 6-year-old whole country ham set. I'm looking at it right now, sitting over there. It's like it's in the wrapper.
That is where it's at. When you can
But
recreate that, I always say I have roller skates. You would not even believe the amount I have night vision goggles over here. I have my ghost hunting thing over here. I mean, it's just like, it's like a kid with toys, but that is recreating that excitement and that
yeah,
happiness.
yeah, and I know that goes back to what we said earlier about how making people feel a certain way, and a song can come on, or a smell of a perfume, or men's cologne might be in your granddaddy's or your daddy's, and your brain automatically, most of the time it's a comforting one, unless it's somebody, unless you think it might be a ghost or something. I've had a few
Go
smells
ahead.
before. Not here. I bought this house by feel. I'm like, okay, this one feels good. There was a lot that didn't, and the reason I did, I remember living in a few houses that strange things happened. It was really bad, so I didn't want to buy a haunted house. So that,
My son always swore I'd buy a haunted house. There was a time, but yeah, I've had weird stuff too. And it's like, and it's happened on, I'm like, what is that? Like when you open the door sometimes to the
yeah.
stuff started, I mean, you can't avoid it. It's like you're a magnet to it.
Trooper, you're right. I've got some good stuff from Temu, but I've got probably an equal amount of bad stuff too. You have to really be careful. I had somebody ordered me some some jars because
Think about the size.
they were supposed to be mason jars, and there was 32 of them for $20. I'm like, how'd you get them that cheap? I don't know. When they come in, I'll give them to you. I know you like to do this and do that and put candles, and I'm like, okay. And then you like to store, I like to make pickled eggs and all that. And I'm like, okay. They come in,
You
they
probably
come
got
in
an
a
egg in
box
there.
about that big, and there was 32 jar replicas, and
Oh
I'm
God.
laughing. I've got like 5 in my hand. I took a picture and put them on Facebook. Like,
I
Always
got
check the size.
blow up the inner tubes. Roger, they were like, I said, well, this is for a doll. This is not, no humans gonna. They were like, this big.
Yeah. And it's like,
I got this great deal. I got this great
yeah.
deal.
But then every now and then something will surprise you. You're like, oh, well, hey, that's actually pretty good. So,
And that's what keeps you going back. That's
yes,
why they
it's like peppering the gold thing.
got to
Like,
give them a real item, a full item eventually. They're not going to come back. I'm like, this has got to be the real deal this time. It's such a great deal.
Yeah, how many times we got him? 17. Yeah, send him something good. It's just like that's the way the lottery's set up, y'all. That's what
Oh, Roger, he's been here like 10 times. We can't, he's got to get a full size item this time. I mean, oh man.
My wife bought me a necklace, and it said it was sterling silver. And when I saw the
Turn your
size
neck
of it,
green. Yeah.
she said, I only give so much for it. And when I saw how big it was, I'm like, there is no way somebody sold you a 3 or 4 ounce silver, necklace for what 1 ounce would cost back then. And I hated to tell her. I said, I got to check it. I did the magnet test and all that, and I finally took something to it, and there was brass, and I gave it to my son. He wears it, but anyway. All right, y'all.
I start breaking out in a rash or something.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah.
I'm saving it for those really good times. We don't want anything to happen to it.
I told one of my friends, I said, I was joking, kind of. I said, man, if you order certain things off of there, they're going to know what you're into. And if you ever get invaded, they're going to know where to go get the good stuff.
Yes.
They know your address.
That's what I said. They're doing inventories on us. They want you to track your purchases, not because they want to know what you're buying. It controls everything. Yeah. And that's what Zach he's talking about, that in the inventory and how we're all being in, this is everything that we said. And I was always told, what, experiencers, it doesn't matter. The government doesn't care what you have to say. They care about the military. Well, it turns out they're transcribing everything. And it's like, oh my gosh, everything that I said, I realized was like, they set these things up. They set it up, and it's like, think in advance where this could go. Who would have thought all those things that you were saying all those years ago? I thought, man, it doesn't matter. I could say the truth, get it out there, and it's.
If y'all want me to have a 4-hour conversation, if I answer this phone, I'll be up to 2:00. I'm gonna tell him. I'm sorry, Coley. They know. I got him on the show one time, and I had Greg and another guy, and we got to the 3-hour mark, and they're like, I gotta go to the restroom or whatever. And before I knew it, we were over the 6-hour mark. And
oh wow,
it was crazy, but it was such fun, and everybody loved it. And I don't know where it's at, but let me text him right quick and tell him I'm on live, because I know I asked him earlier today if he'd want to come on and talk. Hold on, y'all bear with me just a second.
There's some of the shows, I tell you, the people, it really is, though. It's like you get to know these people so well. It's like catching up with friends. Like, as there people come on, I'm like, man, I always plan. I'm like, I know who the ones, it's just, I just love it. I value those moments.
Well, so everybody that does the Bigfoot stuff, they know, everybody knows Kumbo. He's been doing this for 50 something years. And, but what's great about, hanging out with him and Greg and some of these other guys that are in chat, most of the time when you're talking, it's not about the Bigfoot or the weird stuff. It's just about life, like true friends. And like you said, I value that more, but I'm also realize how lucky I am to be able to call and say, hey, I just had this happen. What do you think this was? Why did that happen? And, they don't always have an answer, but they have something that happened in the past that might give you a clue. So
an understanding.
Now I'm in a spot where, not you know, where I've had experiences where I might can help people, but if I can't help them, I can point them
In the
in the
right
right direction.
direction.
Yeah. Well,
I would say I might
Coley,
not exactly like understand, but I know the feel,
yes,
I know what it feels like to be through something so weird, you don't know who to call. We can always find that relatable point.
it, sorry, I know, and
No,
so Coley, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you doing that. I know it was last minute, but
no, I loved it.
um,
I was glad you asked me.
yeah, it's. I mean, and I could talk. They know I could talk for hours, but I want to leave enough for like if you ever come on, we can talk about some real experiences and stuff like. I think this was an amazing conversation. Uh, there's people in chat that they know I know that they might have needed it. That's why I kind of asked you a few things while they were here, and I just want you to know what the things you said tonight. I know it helped at least one person here tonight.
Oh,
So
makes it all worthwhile, and it's truly what it's about. I love having fun, Roger. I have so much fun with you. I could sit and I get lost in the moment, and then I'm like, I try to chat, but it's like I was so immersed, and that's so good for the soul. And if you can help people in the process, like
mhm.
that's where it is. That's what makes us all worthwhile.
Yes. Yep, absolutely. And yeah, well, do you remember the date when I'm supposed to be on your show?
Yes, you are.
She knows off the top of her head.
I'm like, Roger, I know it's coming up, and I know we have that date, but I don't have it right in front of me. But yes, you're coming on soon, very soon. I think it's this Friday or the next Friday.
I don't know. I forgot to write it down. So when you figure it out, send it to me and I'll put it on the calendar. I looked
I will.
today and I'm
It's
like,
soon. I'll update
it's
my
soon.
side of it. Yeah, it'll be
Yeah.
soon.
And then you can pick my brain or whatever, and then there might be a lot of I don't knows, but I feel like here's what I feel like that we kind of understand each other. We've been through similar things, and there's probably questions that you could ask me that I never would think about. I get that sense that you probably already have a few ready.
Oh, I've got a list, Roger. Are you serious?
you know,
I wait till you come back on, and I'm like, okay, I got this, and this, and this, because I have to continue that story. I'm like, I'm invested in this now. I got to
right?
know how this goes and along the way, and that's really
Yeah.
what it's all about. I'm like, man, what did Roger? Because you told me a lot of profound stuff, and then the experiences, especially the one on fire. Like I have
Uh,
so many things. Like you have no idea how amazing that is that you made it through. The people who've been through those struggles, I tell you, I really bond with. And once I bond with you, it's just like,
mhm.
man, you know, we got that it's that unwritten, like we're Xers, we run by the
And,
code.
well, and I remember. I think it was you that said, "I'm sorry you had to go through that or whatever." And what I said was very true. It's probably one of the best things that ever happened to me. Maybe it was Gary that said it. It was
No,
somebody
you
that
said,
said
I
it.
remember. Yeah.
Yeah, and it turned out to be one of the best things that ever happened to me. Now, did I think, oh, we're gonna make it through the next 30 seconds? Yeah, that's is that a near death experience?
Yeah. I
Okay,
drove
I
with a
mean,
dead man when I was like 8. He died while driving the car. That is a near death experience. I thought we were dead. If you think you're dead, you've gone there. You've gone there, and that opens up a whole new world.
yeah,
Definitely.
I didn't know what the definition of that was, so that's why I had to ask. But people ask me a lot, have you ever had an NDE? I'm like, well, I've
Roger, you were on
may,
fire. You
maybe,
were on fire.
and I
Whole.
and I told that story the first time, and of course, it's been so many years ago. Um, I don't want to tell it and get everybody down in the dumps. I'm telling it. I'm telling it how it happened, but
You ran through on the way you told it. I was like, oh, but but at the end, I was like, man, that as crazy as this is, like, I don't exactly know what that was like, but that's a bonding moment right there.
right.
Like, whew.
It's like if you've been. I've always said this. Everybody always talks about people not getting along and having differences in opinions. But here's one thing I do know for sure: if you've cried, bled, and sweated with each other, or had similar experiences, nothing else matters. That's a
Mm-mm.
bonding, like if work on a sports team, whatever. But people that experience pain, and like you said earlier, you got to know what the bad is to know what the good is and appreciate the good. And then a lot of people that work together, or they're on a sports team, or they're on some other team, and they have trauma and stress and all that, they all hang out together after. They all go get a beer together. They all, they trust each other because they know this person has my back in a bad situation. There's no other bond like that.
There
The
isn't.
people there's no other. I mean, it's so when uh I don't even know what to say next, because once I realized that, I started seeing it. I noticed things. I'm a people watcher, you know, and I've always been like that. And I'm like, what's the difference in this and this? And these people been told to hate each other, and these people here like survived because of each other. So
Yeah. Yeah. Stick together. Stick
yep,
together.
yep. All right, Coley, thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you. I'm gonna
Oh, no, I had a great time. Thank you so much. It really is an honor and a pleasure. I was like, yay, this is right. I'm so excited that you're doing this on your channel. And I would like encourage everybody, get over, subscribe to Roger. This is great people. These are great crew. These are people you want to surround yourself by and go through
yeah.
this stuff together. You can choose. You get to decide.
Well, I've always said it took me a while to learn it, but good people attract good people. And
Absolutely.
that's it. I mean, I don't that's all I'll say. I've noticed a lot of other stuff, but I don't, it turns into a completely another show, another 2-hour discussion.
I know.
We
I'm
could
not get on that soapbox and I'm just like ready to roll, you know.
y'all, we've been
Ooh.
all over the place, but that's what this show is about. I might have 4 Bigfoot shows in a row, and then we're just on talking, and because of that, I feel like it was a great conversation. I appreciate that, and bouncing ideas and theories and stuff off each other. That's the way it's supposed to be, right?
Yes. Be a
Yep.
sounding board for one another. Absolutely. And when you can say and you can be with somebody during all these moments and you say it's like you come out and you're like, man, you have that. It's like, yeah, these are my
Well,
people. You're one of my
and
people, you know?
y'all, I'll just go ahead and tell you, there are people that inspire you, and it may be something small, but there was something you said, um, and I got to thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what? Now's the time for me to do some things. This channel here is
Awesome.
because of something you said, and the music going to iTunes and Spotify and all that. Um, I'm tickled to death because I didn't know how to do all that back. I spent a lot of time to learn how to
Got
do
you.
it.
I can walk you through this.
Yes,
Yeah.
and so you didn't know this, but there was something that might have seemed small to you, but it started me. It's like that little snowball. You're like, hmm, and I'm
That's
like, you
awesome.
know what? There's no better
Wow.
time than right now. So let's dig in and learn something. So yeah, I just wanted
Wow.
to tell
That
you that.
really is. I feel I'm like, that's very like that really like you have no idea. But I'm like I'm such a team player. You guys, if you have any questions on stuff or I've been through it, like I bonked my head enough on this. Like I would love Roger. I would because then you don't have to go that route. It's like I can walk you through that direct path and
Well,
that.
I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah,
That
no problem.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. It's like my kids, that I would tell them something back in the day, and they're like, "Well, how do you know that?" "Well, you see this scar right here?" It's like, I didn't read this
I've
in no
been beat
book.
up enough. Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
unrolling. It's like
I didn't read this in no book, son. That's all right.
we learned by touching the stove a bazillion times that it was
Yeah,
hot,
don't touch.
Took
Yeah,
me quite a few ways. Like this
my dad,
hurts, that
yes,
hurts, that hurts. Roger,
my
you've been
dad,
on fire. I don't know.
yes.
I didn't
Well,
say that.
I swear, Gen X, my dad, my mom, "Don't touch that, it's hot." I'm like, "I don't know what the hell hot means. What's she talking about?" And Daddy's like, "Go ahead and touch it. Go ahead and touch it, see what happens." The first time that
Oh
happened,
yeah.
it was a 68 Chevy Impala 4-door blue with black interior. I'm sitting there and I punch in the cigarette lighter. Y'all old enough to know the cigarette lighters back then.
Yeah.
And my daddy, I pulled it out and it's glowing orange. And I'm thinking, I'm like,
I
2,
think I have
3,
the
4.
rings yet.
that's-
Yeah.
Boy, that's pretty. Daddy said, boy, don't touch that thing. And I'm like, why? He said, no, go ahead and touch it. See what happens.
Yeah. See,
I had the ring. My mom was like, Doug, why you doing like that? He said, he won't do that crap again.
it's in a controlled environment. I said, the fireworks, the guy told me, he said, the metal things, he's like, we don't sell them anymore. Because I said, well, my generation, we had lines across our feet every 4th of July from stepping on those. Since when do we do this? You know, it's like, yeah, it's a whole different world for me. I'm like,
Hey, Fades, how you doing?
oh, hey. Oh, she's great.
Miss Sarah, hell, it's probably like 5 o'clock over there where she's at. It's bedtime over here.
Oh, yeah. No, she's great. She is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, she's I don't know what it is about her. But
She
I
lights up the room.
yeah, I heard her talk on something. Then I saw some of her videos. And I'm like, man, I gotta have her on the show.
She's
And
very talented.
it's fun. Yes, she does music, and some of the music it plays like round the clock, and I'll go in sometimes and listen for a little while. I'm like, this is so relaxing. I don't I c- I don't know what she's doing. I probably could guess, but might have something to do with the frequency and the hertz. But
Oh, yeah.
anyway.
Mine's like boom, boom, like we're going, alarms are going off. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, I love it. And it's so cool because you get that intro. I'm just sitting there. I don't know if you can see me behind. I'm like, this is because you get to experience that for somebody else. But it's so funny how different like the intros are.
Let me tell y'all, if Coley's show is not for y'all, go just watch the 15-minute intro and then leave. Because I guarantee you, if you watch the intro, you won't leave. Because I think it's some kind of subliminal something that's going on. Because like I caught myself. There's people in chat, we're talking and waiting, and I'm, somebody, I'm dancing, or I'm boogieing, I'm wiggling. I'm like, well, I ain't doing nothing. 11 minutes into it, I start going.
I see people behind. I'm like, yeah, that's what I said. We're having a party. We are going to a party, and that is how it's like. So I'm back there. It's like I'm jamming, doing all this stuff, but I'm like in the process, So if you're not over there and you're not jamming to it, man, I don't know. I'm trying though, because if I'm gonna have you sit there, I always tell people, put your headphones on, go get whatever you want, but let's get that build. It's like I want to have a party. This is a party.
Well,
we want to.
That's how, that I learned this through a movie, but that's what the good DJs do. They know about the reactions, the body's reaction to certain things, and how to bring them up and bring them back down a little bit. Yeah, I watched I don't remember what it was, and I don't even remember what the movie was about, but I was so enthralled learning how they know how the human body reacts. And then, how's that tied to Bigfoot? Because if you believe that these things possibly could put out infrasound or this or that or whatever, that affects you the same way. I'll stop right there.
Yes.
If the
influence that it has, what it stands for is subliminal dissemination. Why? Because I was on cryptology, and that is how they do it. So I said, I got to counter this. So a lot of this you'll see is me countering things that I see along the timeline. But it all is it ties in. I'm like, it seems like random, this. I mean, there's just something for everybody, but you're getting glimpses inside of my life, and in some ways that I'm having fun with it. I'm having fun with it.
And I could
tell
so
serious,
Yeah. Yeah. And that, just through the intro, and I know you change it up sometimes, but and it's just like with Fades, with Sarah, what she does. I know how this stuff can affect you, and I try little tricks, and some of my songs do a little better with this trick or that trick, and you just put that in your back pocket. And y'all, I'll just tell you this, some of you may know, there have been things taken away from us. I'll just go ahead and say it. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Go look up. This is what I'm gonna give y'all some homework. Go to your favorite music platform, look at 432 hertz songs, and I promise you, it'll look like a soundtrack of your childhood, your life, your teenage years. A lot of your favorite songs. I won't get into why, but they tried to take all that away, but they
Yes.
know it works. So if you wonder why certain songs are hits, check all that out. That'll give you some homework.
Yeah, because I get behind after that rolls, I get out, I set the frequencies, I
Mhm,
set the stage, and I said, "You're right." And I'm like,
mhm,
"Man, if you think of it that much and it produces those kind of feelings, think
mhm.
about your environment, what could potentially be coming through." Like, you get a break. The biggest break I had was roller skating because you got the music and you had the motion. My brain was like, so if
Mhm.
you get that, you give somebody that little bit of break, let them enjoy the moment. I thought, man.
Yep, and I'm not giving up the whole thing because it's not just 432, but that's the one that's easiest for you to find because I was I had the idea, I heard a little bit of something, I started investigating, and
There's a lot to it.
when I saw the first results, I was stunned because everything on that list was stuff that there were songs and music that I would stop what I was doing and turn it up.
Yeah, I can feel it with the when
You
you're
know what I
coming
mean?
in,
Yep.
especially headphones. Yeah, oh, yeah, I can feel it. I can tell it's like you leave Rogers and you feel good. Like, that's the feeling, like you said. You remember those experiences. I want somebody
Yep,
when they come to visit, I want them to have the best experience, or I want them
yep.
to remember it. I wanna create that experience, and that's kind of, what I want to it's like when somebody I wanna make them feel good. I want them to remember it and be like, "Hey, I really had a great time." Like, that means the world to me. And
Yep.
this is you can tell it's welcoming. I was back there, I was like, "Go, Roger. Like, you're so talented. You really are." And I was like, "He's got
I
great
appreciate
grasp. What are you doing? This is awesome. You're doing some big things, and you
well
seriously pat yourself on the back for it. It really is
well
great."
I appreciate it. I appreciate the nice words and, the I think a lot of times, you'll see, some of us do this, but we have a creative side too, and I think it may come from the way our brain's wired,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And either you're creative or you have to do something so you won't go nuts because you got a million things running through your head. You got all these ideas and you can't do
Oh,
all of them. And just
I
like Cole,
know.
see, I picked up on what Coley said. I'm sure y'all heard it. She says, I got the music and I got the movement. What that's doing is giving her something to focus on because these other 80 things won't drive her crazy.
I know. If you saw the juggling and what you're doing and everything, I know what it takes, like, to run it behind the scenes. I'm like, that music keeps me focused. If that music
Yes.
wasn't I wasn't into it, believe me, this would be like, I would never make it on
I
the
totally
air.
understand. We might be a blood kin or something down the road. I don't know.
I feel it. I
You know what
feel
I
it.
mean? So, all right, y'all. We're gone this time, but thank you once again. Thank you, everybody. This if I can remember how to do it, this might be on Spotify tomorrow. So,
Hey, yeah. So let me know. I will follow and get that. Yes. That
okay,
awesome. Roger, good for you. Congratulations on all this. It's been wonderful.
thank
This has been great. Thank you to everybody who's here listening. It's really been an honor and a pleasure.
and reason I don't have a 15-minute. This is the last thing I'll say. Reason I don't have a 15-minute intro and outro, which I would love to do. I've got the cheap version of StreamYard right now, and it only allows a small one. So if I have the longer my intro
It's
gets, the
great.
yeah, sure. All right, I got one here. This end one is kind of dumb, but I liked it because it was fun. I did the words, and I wanted it to be like Coley said, it's about a minute and 3 seconds maybe. It's few words and it gets to rocking for a little bit and then it fades out. So y'all have a great
Awesome.
night.
Let's
Have a
hear
good
it.
weekend. Thursday night, on Untold Radio Network, we have Bruce Brown. It should be a great one. He's very knowledgeable. I met him a few weeks ago. Learned a lot from him in just a short conversation. Coley, what you got coming next?
I got, what day is it? Yo, tomorrow we have Miles. Yeah, my cord. The cat is single-handedly trying to dismantle my show. It hates my show. So, but I'm up and running, and yeah, Miles at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. 1 p.m. Sorry, he changed it, but Miles is always good for a ride. So yeah, thank you so much again. honestly, it's really been an honor and a privilege. Roger, you're going to do big things. This is awesome.
Thank
It's
you,
an honor
ma'am.
to
I
do that.
appreciate you.
Yeah, I love it.
All right. Southern goodbye number 15. We're goodbye. Bye.
Thanks for watching. If the woods go quiet, keep your head on a swivel. Show respect for the woods and everything that calls them home. Until next time, this is Squatch and Holler. We'll see you down the trail.